Welcome to NASCAR on NBCSN. Tonight from Kentucky Speedway, it's the NASCAR Xfinity Series. What's known as NASCAR's roughest track, this familiar place has been given a new look. A repave has made a smoother ride. But with one end of the track now different from the other, that ride definitely isn't easier. A challenging night awaits Xfinity Series contenders Daniel Suarez, as well as Erik Jones, as well as Sprint Cup stars Brad Keselowski and the pole sitter Kyle Busch. Who will take the first checkered flag at the new Kentucky Speedway? We are 300 miles away from that answer. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen alongside the mayor, Jeff Burton, and crew chief Steve Letarte. The big story this weekend is who could handle the new repave and reconfiguration of Kentucky Speedway? That's a question that has to be answered tonight.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people not be able to handle it. You know, this racetrack has been reconfigured, and it's very, very difficult. One end of the racetrack has a tremendous amount of grip in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 has an extremely flat entry, and it's made a trouble spot for all these drivers and teams.
Yeah, Rick, you mentioned how rough this track used to be. The pavement has fixed that. It's much smoother, but it's not any easier. The difference in the racetrack from turns 1 to turn 3 is very different, and it's catching some of these drivers and teams off guard.
And it started at the beginning of the weekend, guys not being able to figure out this racetrack and getting out of the groove, not a good thing.
Yeah, once you get out of the groove and you get up in the gray part of the racetrack, you're most likely going to hit the wall. You just can't afford on this racetrack to leave the groove. There's marbles up there, there's no rubber, and we've seen a lot of carnage throughout it.
Yeah, just not in practice. We saw Dillon have an issue in qualifying. They repaired this car, and he'll use this car in the race this evening.
One of the big stories also is tires. How will the teams be able to manage tires on the new surface?
Well, it's going to be difficult. They're afraid they're going to blister the tires. They're worried that with the excessive speed in 1 and 2 and the loading in 1 and 2 that it's going to hurt the tires, and they may have to pace themselves tonight.
And when you talk about conserving tires at a short track, it's to not get in the throttle. Well, turns 1 and 2, they're wide open, so I'm not sure how they can not load the tire as much. It's going to be interesting to see what the leaders choose to do as the night wears on.
Drivers are ready, and a very special trackside opening ceremonies. We will go trackside now for those.
Ladies and gentlemen, last night 5 members of the law enforcement community in Dallas, Texas tragically lost their lives. Please join us in a moment of silence to recognize and honor those victims and their families. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Cincinnati Fire Department and Gallatin County Fire Department present our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Larry Campbell, track chaplain of Kentucky Raceway Ministries, offers tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you tonight with heavy hearts, Lord. Father, we think about what happened there in Dallas, and we just pray for the families. Lord, we just pray you might wrap your arms of love around them at this time and comfort them through this horrible tragedy. Father, we just ask that you would heal our country. Father, the hatred and the anger in our country, we ask for forgiveness. And Father, we ask that once again, we ask that God would bless America. Father, just blessing this race tonight. Father, it's your will. We pray that the rain will be held off and we might have a safe and fun evening tonight. And Father, we just ask that you just watch over all things. And it's all in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome local country music artist Heather Rush.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And the kids giving the dads a little boost of confidence before they climb in the cars. The Command's coming up next.
What makes our racing so exciting is everybody's hungry. We're trying to make our name.
Daniel Suarez wins for the first time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
We're competitors, and we all have this, like, I'm going to beat you.
Erik Jones will get his first win of the year.
He won at Bristol on the concrete. He wins at Dover on the concrete.
It's a pretty big accomplishment for our team and pretty cool to be sitting in the position we are at this point. Everybody's trying to get a shot in the big time. With every race, if it gets that much more stressful, you know how hard it is going to be to get that win.
Welcome back as we get ready to race under the lights at Kentucky Speedway. Let's go to pit road for the stories before they give command. We start with Dave Burns.
Rick, when I asked Elliott Sadler's crew chief how they would handle tonight's challenges, Kevin Mendering didn't hesitate. He said the experience of Elliott Sadler. This is his 312th start, and Kevin said he's been there, done that when it comes to repaves and reconfiguration. Tonight, leaning on Elliott's experience, could get the one car to victory lane. Mike Massaro?
Dave, contrary to Elliott Sadler, young 19-year-old Brandon Jones doesn't have a lot of experience. And to add to the matters, he's in a backup car tonight. He was bitten by this racetrack in practice yesterday. Still, he's very confident. Why? This car has a history. It's the car they ran at Las Vegas earlier this year. A car Brandon Jones drove to a 6th-place finish. His best finish of the season so far, Marty.
Mike, when I talked to Brad Keselowski moments ago, he said, listen, honestly, we're still chasing the Gibbs cars here in the Xfinity Series at Team Penske, but we're getting closer. And I think my chances tonight to win are actually pretty good. He said, listen, people are going to have tire problems tonight. They're going to get out of the groove. There's going to be wrecks in this evening's race. He said, but if we can survive, I feel pretty good about our chances to get to victory lane, Kelly.
Joe Gibbs Racing cars will start 1, 2, 3 tonight. Daniel Suarez got edged off the pole by just 3 1/1000ths of a second. Remember, he got his first ever NASCAR win earlier this year, and that taste of victory has only made him hungrier for more. We know he has the speed in the car, but it might be who has the tires to match, Rick.
Absolutely. He's going to have to get by Kyle Busch, the pole winner from earlier today. Let's get the command. We go trackside.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give you the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, United States Air Force Brigadier General retired, Dan Cherry.
What an honor it is for me to be with you all tonight on this great evening of NASCAR racing. And on behalf of our military men and women who have served and are serving all around the world to protect our freedoms, and in honor also of the over 18,000 Alsco employees worldwide. Drivers, start your engines.
Forty cars have come to life, about ready to take on Kentucky Speedway. Will it be one of the stars and future stars of NASCAR that find victory lane? We'll have the green flag when we come back. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Let's take a look at our starting grid for the evening. Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez making up row one. Kyle Busch, it's his first Xfinity Series pole at Kentucky. He won the last 3 times he started on pole.
Yeah, row 2, we have Erik Jones, who already has 2 wins this year, starting next to Austin Dillon, whose first 2 Xfinity wins came at this racetrack.
Row 3 is made up by Elliott Sadler and 2-time Kentucky winner Ryan Blaney.
Back in row 4, Ryan Reed and Cole Custer. Cole Custer is going to start from the best position he has ever started from in his career.
Yeah, Blake Cook, best Kentucky start of his career, starting next to Brad Keselowski, looking for his first Xfinity win of the season.
Row 6 has Darrell Wallace Jr. never finished outside of the top 10 here in NASCAR. Next to Ryan Sieg, coming off his best ever career finish last week.
Back in row 7, it's Brennan Poole and Justin Allgaier. And Justin Allgaier came just inches away from a win at Daytona last week.
Yeah, we have J.J. Yaley, who finished runner-up here in 2006, starting next to Justin Marks, who's in his first start at Kentucky in row 8.
2 Richard Childress Racing drivers make up row 9. Brandon Jones and Brendan Gaughan, both in backup cars.
Back in row 10, Jeremy Clements, currently 14th on the chase grid, 35 points outside of making it into the chase. Let's see if we can hear from the driver who will start 13th tonight, Justin Allgaier.
Hey, Justin, it's Jeff in the NBCSN booth. You with us?
Yeah, Jeff, go ahead. I'm clear.
Man, you guys came so close to winning last week. How do you use that to motivate you and your team?
Well, I mean, obviously last week was a heartbreaker for all of us, but at the end of the day, you know, Super Speedway finishes always come down to a close finish like that, and just thankful that we could put ourselves on that opportunity. Everybody back at Junior Motorsports has done a great job. We've had a really, really good speed with our Chevy Camaros this year. We've had it again this week, and all 3 of our Junior Motorsports cars have been really, really fast. So we just have to use those good finishes and keep building on them, knowing that we got cars that are capable of winning every week, and try and get this Visit MyrtleBeach.com Chevy up front tonight.
Justin, we've seen so many drivers have trouble on this racetrack this weekend. Tell us why it's so difficult.
Well, one of the biggest things is just the grip level is kind of got us all just kind of thrown for a loop a little bit here. You know, the banking in 1 and 2, and then you get down to turn 3 and 4, and it's a lot flatter and a lot wider. So, you know, the tire choice that Goodyear brought here, obviously they worked really hard to come up with something that they felt like would live and to last. And so, you know, we're doing everything we can to try to match that and to get the grip in the car that we need. So, you know, it's going to be a learning night, figuring out what we have to do. And as the race progresses, I'm sure we're going to learn more and more. But definitely right now, the grip level is what's throwing us all for a curveball.
Well, Justin, thank you and your team for allowing us to come on board tonight. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
When you say come on board, we actually have the opportunity to ride along with a few different drivers. Brandon Jones in the 33 has the onboard camera, the AAA onboard camera. He will start 17th this evening. Brad Keselowski has the in-car camera, the Ford in-car camera, starting in row 5. Erik Jones with the Toyota onboard will start 3rd tonight. And Daniel Suarez in the number 19 has the Xfinity onboard camera. He starts in the front row in the 2nd position. It looks as though Kyle Busch has chose the inside line, as we see Daniel Suarez on the outside. Tonight's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. So this first start will be interesting to find out how everyone will filter into that narrow turn number 1. So we look at the track facts for Kentucky Speedway. This race length is 200 laps, 300 miles. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. That fuel window, Steve, 60 to 63 laps. Will we see anyone go that far? Because the tires could be an issue.
Well, right here before we start the race, there's been a lot of concern about the right side tires maybe blistering a little bit. We'll have to see how that develops as the race goes. We'll have a competition caution at lap 25 to allow the teams to evaluate how the tires are looking early in the event.
And also the 18 has chose the outside line now. He moved on to the outside of Daniel Suarez. Let's listen into the 16 radio just moments ago. Oh, I'm sorry, 62 of Brendan Gaughan.
I watched Cup practice, man. If you got outside the groove at 3, anywhere 3 or 4, you were screwed. I mean, Kurt Busch couldn't even turn the thing. You know, so I definitely don't like anywhere near pushing the limit 3.
Which is rare for him because he normally rides right up against the wall, but at a track like this, he's not going to be able to do that tonight.
No, you're not. You're getting ready to drop the green flag on a race, and you're going to have to be double wide. You don't have a choice. You're going to drive into turn 1, and this is the first time these drivers have been side by side driving into turn 1. Narrow racetrack, new pave. You don't want to be out of the groove. Now, I'm going to tell you, turn 1 is narrow, too. The groove is narrow. The racetrack itself is narrow. It's going to be interesting to see how they get through this first 2 corners.
Lights are out on the pace truck. It will make the hard left-hand turn onto pit road and put the field into the hands of Kyle Busch, who again now chose the outside line for the start of this race. Daniel Suarez on the inside. Joe Gibbs Racing 1, 2, and 3. Erik Jones will start third, and Austin Dillon on the outside of row number 2. 2 by 2 they come into the tri-oval. Who will master the repave at Kentucky? Green flags in the air. We're racing in the Bluegrass State. Austin Dillon, an aggressive move right on the back bumper of Kyle Busch, moves in front of Daniel Suarez through 1 and 2. Still 2 by 2 as they go through 3 and 4. The fight now for third. Erik Jones on the inside of Austin Dillon.
Everybody's fighting, trying to get to that bottom groove. Again, they haven't been side by side, and the safest place to be is on the bottom. So everybody's being aggressive, trying to take that spot.
Being told by NASCAR the start is under review. So they're taking a look at the start of the race. We'll let you know what the results of that are.
It did seem extremely slow as Kyle Busch approached the restart zone. You know, it's the leader's responsibility to maintain pace car speed. NASCAR, I'm sure, is looking at the entire start to see if they did maintain pace car speed, if everybody stayed in line until the start-finish line.
It looked like to me the flag was thrown really, really late. This restart zone is very, very close to the start-finish line. I think that's going to create issues all night.
Spreading out a bit now at the front. Kyle Busch in front of Suarez. Erik Jones running third. Elliott Sadler has dropped back to fourth, and Austin Dillon all the way back to fifth now. And NASCAR has let us know the start has been deemed good. So everybody's safe. Again, a competition caution coming at lap 25. Daniel Suarez has been able to move back up to second. Erik Jones third. Elliott Sadler, Austin Dillon. Then it's Ryan Blaney. Ryan Reed, 6th and 7th. Top 3 cars, Joe Gibbs Racing drivers.
It's so interesting to watch the two ends of the racetrack. You see as these cars go down in turns 1 and 2, almost wide open for an Xfinity car, not getting out of the throttle at all through this end of the racetrack.
It's the top 3, actually 4, trying to separate themselves. Let's take a look back at that start, the initial start, and how late they got to the green.
And remember, you go at the initial start when the green flag drops. Look at behind this. It happened so late and so slow that it bunched everybody up. People were trying to anticipate when the green flag was going to get dropped. And because it was so late, look how long that they're moving before they get going. The front row did nothing wrong. That's just how long it took to throw the green flag. Well, that messed everything up in the back. You see them bottling up as they're anticipating, and that just is an accordion effect, just like on the interstate, and it's very difficult to anticipate when to go and when not to go.
Erik Jones looking to the inside of the 19 of Suarez. This is a fight for second. And quite a bit different from the practice that these drivers got in on Thursday. 4 hours of practice for the Xfinity Series. But that was mostly single cars out there running on their own. Now we're seeing the cars bunched up a bit and having that aero difference with the cars in front of them. And here comes the move by Erik Jones.
Yeah, Erik was able to stay on the yellow line longer than the 19 was. The 19 lost the yellow line, lost grip when he got up the racetrack. Advantage Erik Jones.
Completes the pass before they get into turn number 1. Erik Jones takes over second.
And Daniel Suarez did a nice job of getting back in line very close to the rear bumper of his teammate in the 20, not allowing Elliott Sadler to fill that gap. You know, that was Elliott's goal. When someone gets out of the preferred groove, the goal is for another car to continue to fill that bottom lane, not letting him back to the bottom.
Interesting shot there of Erik Jones, almost not moving at all as we look at the 62.
Yeah, we've talked about how treacherous the top side of the racetrack is. We'll see the 62 ran into the 1 and 2 on the outside of the 6 of Bubba Wallace, and you see just instant loss of grip. The front wheels move back and forth. The tail goes up the racetrack, Dave.
And Brendan radioed in, hey, my car is so tight in the center, Shane. That's Shane Wilson, his crew chief. He was faster than the 2 or 3 cars around him, he felt, but in the middle, he couldn't turn.
And now we see JGR still 1, 2, 3, although in a different order. Well, I spoke with 2 of the 3 crew chiefs before the start of this race, and they said, look, we've got a competition caution at lap 25. There's no need for the 3 of us to battle each other too hard. We got to get to lap 25 and see what our tires have. Well, the team telling Erik Jones after he made that move on Daniel Suarez, he said, that's the only thing we have to do right now. Do not lose track position, Marty.
Kelly's been talking a lot about the start of this race, and the guys in the RCR camp knew there was a deal going on with the Joe Gibbs racing cars. That's why Kyle Busch took the outside on the start of the race. Daniel Suarez let him in so they could be 1-2 on that bottom line. But you saw Austin Dillon as close as he could get to Kyle Busch, and because he was in that outside line, even though he was that close to Kyle Busch on the start, he fell all the way back to 5th, gaining some of that ground back now, Rick, but he went way back after being close to Kyle on the start.
And I think the main concern you heard from Joe Gibbs' camp, in practice, they had tires that had blisters on them with less than 20 laps on them. So they need to try to manage this, get to this competition caution, get the tires off, look at them, figure out if they have an issue or not.
Looking strong, as is Elliott Sadler in the 1 as he tries to get by that 19. We'll be right back with more racing from Kentucky. NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion. Select your in-car video or camera angle, access integrated driver stats, lap-by-lap commentary, and social conversation in real time. You won't miss a lap when you visit NASCAR.com/drive on your personal computer now. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Alsco 300 out in front. Kyle Busch has about a half a second lead over his teammate Erik Jones. And it's Elliott Sadler who's been able to move up into the 3rd spot.
Yeah, Rick, we've talked all weekend, really all year, about the speed of the 3 Joe Gibbs Toyotas, especially in the Xfinity Series. But the 1 of Elliott Sadler is doing a great job of keeping them in touch. He knows he only has 5 or 6 more laps to a competition yellow. Pushing the issue, not letting the Joe Gibbs cars coast, really pushing the issue early. Has already gotten by Daniel Suarez, looking now to try to get by Erik Jones.
88 getting by the 16. That's Cole Custer, 18-year-old Cole Custer in the 88, able to get by Ryan Reed.
And you see the 13 of Harrison Rhodes, smoke coming out of it. He's had to go to the garage, so he has an engine problem. His night may be done.
Unfortunate early for Harrison Rhodes, as Steve mentioned, the competition caution expected around lap 25.
I think the significance of Elliott Sadler running in 3rd position is that, what's the big deal? It's 3rd, it's early in the race. Well, the big deal is on the restart, he's got the inside line. And I think of this racetrack, that could be a huge advantage. So the difference between starting 4th and 3rd could be 5 or 6 spots in 4 or 5 laps, because if you get out of the groove, a bunch of people are going to go by you. So that race for the bottom could be big as this race moves on.
And already race leader Kyle Busch is putting quite a few cars a lap down. Currently on the lead lap, Travis Kvapil is running 30th. Everyone behind him is either a lap down or already off the track.
Well, these guys are maneuvering traffic very well. Another car maneuvering through traffic very well is Ty Dillon. Had that accident in qualifying, had to go to the rear of the field, all the way up to the 14th position, picking up a bunch of spots. 25 spots already in the first 22 laps of this race.
Yeah, Ty is a very aggressive driver. I don't think he is on his mind is saving tires or looking at tires. He's just trying to get track position and get back to the front.
Erik Jones currently running in the 2nd spot, chasing after Kyle Busch. This is what he had to say on the radio.
Maybe a little snug 3 and 4 center. Maybe getting a little free entry landing to 3 as we get farther into the run. A little bit loose through 1 and 2, about a number. Number 2 loose through 1 and 2. Number 2 tight through 3 and 4.
Those are veteran comments on a very young race car driver, and Erik Jones giving a lot of information to his crew chief. He knows that he has the opportunity to come to pit road here very shortly on that competition caution. So use this opportunity to give the feedback about his chassis, really dissect it. You heard him talk about each end of the racetrack. That's another thing that makes it complicated. When the two ends of the racetrack are very different, what adjustment does the crew chief want to make that could help one without hurting the other?
And given that feedback with enough time for the crew chief and the team to talk about it, think about it. You know, it's different than the caution coming out and then you talking about it. Now the team has a few more minutes to think about it before they make a change.
Teammates running nose to tail here. Ryan Blaney just in front of Brad Keselowski. Marty?
And we're going to hear this all night long. He says he has a vibration. They also are plus 10 degrees on the water temperature. In fact, he radioed a moment ago to Greg Irwin, his crew chief. He said, I'm in trouble here. I need to come in. You're going to have to fight through this sometimes, Jeff, aren't you, as a driver? You're going to feel vibrations because they've had concerns with tire wear down here. But when you know a competition caution is coming in one lap, you can't pit now, can you?
Oh, it's so hard. You know, when a driver has a vibration, he doesn't know why it's vibrating. He doesn't know if there's a tire problem, if the wheel's loose. You just don't know. And when you have a caution that you know is coming, you almost have to ride it out, but you're gritting your teeth. You hope the tire doesn't blow. You hope the wheel doesn't come off the race car, but all you can do is ride it out or pit. Take your choice, but with a caution coming,
there's the competition caution. And so all the teams will be coming to the attention of their crews, and tire specialists are going to be taking a very close look at these tires because that's the first time that I'm sure a lot of these teams have gone 25 consecutive laps at race pace. So they'll be looking very closely at the wear on these tires.
They all will be, Rick. And the real question now, though, is it would seem like a no-brainer to put 4 tires on if tires are a concern. But I don't believe the decision is that easy. I think the issue is with the right side tires, while older left side tires probably compounds the issue and makes it worse. Easy maybe for Kyle Busch or Erik Jones with fast race cars up front currently to say, well, maybe take 4 tires and be conservative. But deeper in the field, we just saw those Penske teammates in 6th and 7th. You look at the 88 back in 8th. Maybe aggression early, get their track position and try to keep it. So I'm not sure this is a guaranteed 4-tire call up and down pit road.
15 of Travis Kvapil ended up being a lap down because of Kyle Busch's pace that he said. He will receive the free pass. Be put back on the lead lap.
And Rick, I know those tires that we just showed on the wall, these look like used tires. Well, they are relatively new. Goodyear suggested the team scuff. What that basically means is put them on during practice, go out, make a couple laps, 1 heat cycle, let them cool back down. That increases the durability of the tire. That was something Goodyear recommended the teams do. Most every team did it. So while they look like used tires, they're very lightly used tires. They're really new.
And we even saw some teams putting them in an ice bath. They'd run them, get them hot, put them in an ice bath, cool them down really quickly, trying to use that ice and that cool water to cure them, to make them a little bit harder, to last a little bit longer for tonight.
We say this all the time on early cautions, Rick. 29 cars in lead lap, going to be a very congested pit road.
Very congested and very important pit road this time around. Who can get off of pit road the quickest? And they are on their way to you, Dave.
Rick, sounds like Steve might be right. They told Elliott Sadler not to slide the tires. That usually means 2 right sides or none at all, Goodyear tire-wise. They will go for the right sides, full of Sunoco fuel. He said, help me on the exit of the corner. Keep the entry the way it is, Kelly.
You heard Erik Jones on the radio earlier. He's snug on one end of the track, loose on the other. Below him, teammate Daniel Suarez says he's a little bit loose in turn 3, but tight everywhere else. He said his right foot would work a little bit better. And meanwhile, the leader, Kyle Busch, said he was really happy with this car. It had a nice balance to him. But his crew chief said, we're going to tighten you up a little bit because I think the track's about to get freer.
And look how many drivers took just 2 tires. Kyle Busch holds on to that top spot. Watch every Xfinity Series race with the NBC Sports app and get closer with additional camera angles, driver stats, track information. It's available on mobile, tablet, and connected TVs. Download the app to find out more at NBCSports.com/live. Let's check in with Rutledge Wood.
Rick, a big difference we're seeing at the race this year is not just the pavement, it's actually what's underneath the asphalt. You know, about a year ago, we would have seen, after the huge rain we did today, a bunch of weepers behind me going into turn 1, but when the track did the repaving, they also changed exactly how this track drains. There's now 3 different pipes that are at basically the yellow line, mid-track, and all the way up at the top, and everywhere that there was a weeper, or could be another weeper, they ran a cross pipe. So roughly every 400 feet, you've got a new way to drain all of the water out from underneath the surface. Also, directly underneath that top layer of asphalt is a drainable mat. It's basically a loose asphalt that's totally porous, so the water can't come back up, and it's got a lot better way to get out. That's a huge difference that we're seeing here at the track tonight, Rick.
Thank you, Rudd. And it was tested today. as far as drainage goes. The rains came and they dried the track very quickly. Up front, and the lights coming back on the pace truck, so they'll add a lap. Jeff Green, the only driver that is a native of Kentucky, will be up front on the restart with Kyle Busch. We're going to go another lap around. When we come back, the green flag will fly. And now the pace truck makes the hard left turn onto pit road. Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway as we get ready for the restart after the competition caution. Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler making up row number 1 as they come into the restart zone. Another great start by Kyle Busch. Erik Jones on the inside of Elliott Sadler. 2x2 through 1 and 2.
And what a great job Elliott Sadler did of running the top, but right down against the right side door of the 20 of Erik Jones.
3 wide into 3. Haven't seen this yet. Track widening out on a Friday night in Kentucky.
We talked about Elliott Sadler the run before, being in third spot would let him start on the inside, but his pit crew did such a good job they got him out in second, which ultimately hurt him because he just lost spots and went back to 5th.
Yeah, we started second all the way back to 5th now on this restart. Kyle Busch trying to check out on Erik Jones. Aggressive move by Ty Dillon. We saw him in the white hood green car, number 3.
Remember, Rick, he had to start at the rear of this field, already moved up into the 12th position, continues to be aggressive, decided to put 4 tires on at the pit stop. I think that's a great call. Most everybody in front of him was going to do 2. Put 4 tires on that number 3 car and try to have an advantage on the leaders.
Ty Dillon may have got into the back of the 16 when he was trying to get by him. Looks like the 16 got a little bit loose. Now he's working the inside of Ryan Reed, and he'll make the pass.
I think where they were running, being able to put 4 tires on, thinking everybody behind them was going to put 4 on, because all the front leaders are going to take 2. So when you're back there, you're able to do 4. We'll see if that gains an advantage to him racing against all these guys with only 2 tires.
Darrell Wallace Jr. working to the inside. Cole Custer in the 88. Darrell Wallace Jr. in the 6. As the 12 of Ryan Blaney working his back bumper now. And here comes Ty Dillon in the 3 again. 4 fresh Goodyears on the number 3 has helped out immensely on this last restart.
See the 6 of Bubba Wallace. As soon as he saw a hole to get to the bottom, he took it. He aggressively took that line away from the 3 car.
Take a look at the move earlier. It was Ryan Blaney that was just in front of Ty Dillon. Let's see if he does get into the back of Blaney just a bit. Got him loose, but then backed off.
Just aggressive racing. We're going to see people on the apron all night tonight, I think. The banking really doesn't fall off. You can see both of them kind of made a move at the same time. Ty ended up getting into the back of him.
And now Ryan Blaney 2 spots in front of Ty Dillon on the racetrack. Cole Custer in the 88 just in front of Ryan Reed. Cole Custer, as I mentioned earlier, the youngin on the racetrack. 18 years old out of California.
Brendan Poole right here in the white 48 underneath the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. That's the type of pass I expect us to see. He got a nice run off turn 4, got to the bottom. I would expect the 62 to concede the spot going into turn 1. Of course, Brendan disagrees. He drives in hard to the outside of the 48. Really does a great job finding some confidence in that second groove early. He had more confidence in it than I had in it.
There's a lot of drivers in their motorhomes right now watching this race that are really liking the fact that Brendan Gaughan could use that outside to get that pass done. That's something we did not expect to see at this racetrack, especially in turns 1 and 2.
And it's interesting, before the race, Brendan Gaughan on the radio said, we're not going to be able to run up this high on the racetrack. And then maybe he was setting guys up for the fact that he knew he could pass someone.
Well, he mentioned turns 3 and 4.
Yeah.
That was turns 1 and 2. We'll wait and see if he has the same sort of confidence at this end of the racetrack heading down to the turn 3 and 4.
And that was also before they dropped the green flag. It's amazing that when they dropped the green flag, drivers all of a sudden do things they said they wouldn't do.
And on board here with Brandon Jones, he's the 3rd car in line of these 3 in that red 33 car. We'll see again the 48 of Brendan Poole making a run on the 62. This time has a little bit more momentum. The 62, though, does come down and try to side draft him, not giving him the spot very easily.
Once again, Brendan Gaughan running that high line. Brendan Poole in the 48, down at the bottom of the racetrack.
Now we'll see it this end of the racetrack, Rick. This is 3 and 4. This is the end the 62 talked about, and it looked like he definitely drove in there a little more gingerly. Lost the spot to the 48. Now he's trying to protect against the 33 of Jones.
33 of Brandon Jones out of Atlanta, Georgia. Wrecked the primary car on Thursday early. A lot of damage to the right side of that primary car. And now he chases after Brendan Gaughan. The top 5 have all won races in the Xfinity Series in 2016. Kyle Busch out in front, and the team already talking about tires on the radio. Here's what they had to say.
All right, KB, the tires there look maybe just a tiny bit worse than what you saw of our practice tires yesterday. Just a little start hit a blister on the right rear. The right front, maybe one, but, you know, not too bad for semi-laps.
So 25 laps were run. They're already talking about maybe seeing a little bit of blistering. We had mentioned earlier the fuel runs 60 laps. Do you think they can go 60 laps for fuel before the tires wear out?
Well, I think they're all going to try. I don't see anyone pitting early unless they have a vibration. You know, these blisters they're talking about are on the outside edge of the right rear tire. Basically, that tire has so much load on it around this corner 1 and 2. We've already talked about how fast it is, how smooth the repave is. It's basically the tire not wearing the rubber off. So it builds a little bit too much heat, and it pops a section of the rubber loose. That's the blister. They can grow, Dave, and when they grow, they turn into a vibration.
And Steve, let me start with saying that this is the Goodyear's multi-zone tire. The outside half of the tire is a little softer than the inside tougher part. And in the Sprint Cup Series, they lead a little harder on the inside. On the Xfinity Series, they're a little flatter, and so that's why the softer outside can get these blisters that Kyle Busch's team and others are seeing. This is Elliott Sadler's right rear.
And Rick, the concern is why that didn't look very serious. Remember, that was early in a run.
Right.
Continue to load that weak spot. Next thing you know, it'll turn into a major issue for that tire.
Half a second separating the top 2. Kyle Busch, Erik Jones leading in Kentucky. NASCAR Race View gives you access to features that let you follow your favorite drivers if you're at the track. Get live stats, leaderboards, driver and team communications, and more, all on your devices. It's available now for an all-new low price when you visit NASCAR.com/raceview. Erik Jones' race view is of the back bumper of Kyle Busch, and he's closed the gap. It was a half a second. He got it all the way down to 0.2 of a second. But after the information that came to Kyle as far as the tire blistering, the two might be working together a little bit on tire conservation.
Yeah, I don't know if the two of them are working together with the two of Austin Dillon right behind the 20, but I definitely think the 18's an experienced enough driver that he's driving a little bit out of his mirror, get some information from his crew chief, trying to maintain about a half a second lead.
But they're certainly the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack. You know, they're setting the pace for everybody. So I don't know how much they're saving tires, because they're definitely the fastest cars on the racetrack. We saw the 22 of Keselowski right there. He got really loose in the middle of 3 and 4. That allowed Blaney to run up right behind him.
Blaney actually bumped into the back of the 22. Ryan Blaney in the 12, Brad Keselowski in the 22. And the caution has come out.
Caution is out.
So the second caution of the night has come out for debris. Debris in the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Elliott Sadler, the top 5. And it's Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Justin Allgaier, Darrell Wallace Jr., and Ty Dillon, the top 10.
And decision time once again, Rick, because earlier we saw basically the top 10, top 12 cars all take right side tires. Those are the tires that we've seen the blisters on. Are these cars gutsy enough to take only fresh left side tires here? Are they only going to put 2 right sides? I bet not. I expect to see the majority of those leaders to force themselves into 4 tires here, but that's going to open the door for someone like Ty Dillon, who's sitting on 4 tires. He still has the opportunity to take 2. So this pit strategy game we're still going to talk about all night long. It's going to be who is in the right rotation when it comes to the final pit stop of the evening.
I would be very surprised if we saw Ty Dillon do 4 tires right here. I think he's going to do 2. That's going to give him great track position. You know, we just ran essentially the same amount of laps that they ran early in the race. You know, they ran 22 laps. The first run was 25 laps. No major issues. If I'm Dillon's crew chief, I'm doing 2 right now.
That one of Elliott Sadler, though, I know Kevin Mendering, he's a gambler. We saw him last week gamble with fuel at Daytona. Maybe he's just going to put right sides again on Elliott Sadler.
And lead lap cars all making their way onto pit road. Marty.
The question from Danny Stockman to Austin Dillon is, do you have a vibration? Austin Dillon said no. So I would expect you're going to see a 2-tire change here, because he also said don't slide the tires, which, as we heard earlier, is an indication it's going to be 2 tires on the left side. That's going to be the call for Austin Dillon. Good call from Steve Letarte up in the booth. He needs to be a little bit tighter, Kelly.
Erik Jones in that 20 says his car is neutral in 1 and 2, but loose into 3 is a little bit better. In the center of 3 and 4 is 2 tires for Erik Jones. Daniel Suarez also taking 2 tires. He said his car is pretty tight throughout and it's not loosening up. And finally, Kyle Busch saying his car's fine. He's just underdriving it to help conserve tires.
Race off pit road, 2 tires again for Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, and Austin Dillon. Problems on pit road for the 88 and 90, though. And welcome back to Kentucky Speedway and the NASCAR Xfinity Series from the Bluegrass State. Problems on pit road for Cole Custer, as well as the 90 of Alex Gwinnett. Take a look.
Yeah, the 90 of Alex Gwinnett looks like he's still entering pit road. And the 88 of Cole Custer is going to try to leave pit road right here. And the 90 turns across the left, taking a left. He's the car on the left side of the screen. You see heavy contact with Cole Custer. That is some heavy damage to the right front fender, Dave.
And Steve, we saw it down here. The crew now 2 steps to this process. They're cutting away the fender now, and something is leaking. They're not sure what it is. And then they have a piece that they're preparing to patch it with. So it'll be another stop for Cole to try to fix that. Tough night. He had a tough night in the trucks last night, too. Several issues kept him from being as good as he could have been.
Don't have power steering. Like, I can barely turn it going to the right.
Don't have power steering.
Yeah,
that's going to make the night long.
That's what was leaking.
Yeah, it looks like to me there was serious suspension damage too. That was a lot of camber in that right front tire. So I think they've got larger issues than just power steering.
Kyle Busch once again will lead the field back to green. Erik Jones on the inside. Austin Dillon on the inside of row 2, back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Now Justin Allgaier in the 7, taking advantage of track position coming off of pit road, moved up into the top 5.
He was very successful on top side of 3 and 4 in the last restart and actually gained a position there. We'll see if he can do that again.
You see cars driving into turn 3, actually blocking, trying to keep people from getting underneath them, trying to protect that bottom.
It's working for the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Blaney, as well as Daniel Suarez, making the move by Justin Allgaier.
You saw right there the 1 of Elliott Sadler almost left a little bit of a gap for his teammate in the 7 of Justin Allgaier.
Few drivers venturing off of the yellow line through 3 and 4, as well as in 1 and 2. Right along with Daniel Suarez down the front stretches. He looks back on Justin Allgaier. Kyle Busch and Erik Jones once again pacing the field in Kentucky.
Erik Jones, he got a little below the yellow line, getting in turn 3. You see it shot him up the racetrack. So it's pretty severe banking change when you get the left sides below that yellow line.
Kyle Busch entering turn number 1, 185 miles per hour. You can see the leader speed up on the top of the screen next to Kyle Busch's name.
What's the most impressive thing about these Xfinity cars is the middle of the corner speed. They only slow down. You see right here in the middle of the corner. This is the slower end of the racetrack, just barely below 170 miles an hour.
Keeping the momentum up all the way around this racetrack. And while the Joe Gibbs Racing duo Kyle Busch and Erik Jones have continued to pace the field. It's Austin Dillon that's looking the strongest right now, as he's been able to close in on the back bumper of Erik Jones. We see Ryan Reed in the 16, Brennan Poole in the 48 fighting for a spot.
You can see Ryan Reed, he was underneath the 48 of Poole, and the 48 kind of sucked the 16 around. You know, you have to be so close to the car next to you. You really can't give him any room because there's nowhere for you to go and still be in the groove. So making that pass all night long out of the bottom's preferred lane, it's going to be tough because the guy on the outside of you is going to be pulling all the air off your race car.
Blake Cook in the 11 trying to get by on the inside.
These restarts, everybody's fighting for the bottom and trying to be as aggressive as they can be. You can see the 6 of Wallace making got loose, made him, had to correct the car, got into the side of the 33. You see right here, there's
some heavy contact there between Ryan Reed and Brennan Poole.
Completely different incident than what we saw before, but these restarts are just so aggressive. Everybody's fighting to get their spot. You lose spots on restarts, it's hard to ever get them back. That was hard contact between those.
Yeah,
very hard for straightaway.
And one of the things you always worry about is potentially a cut tire. When that contact is made, you see the tire rub, the tire smoke coming off.
You saw those two battling each other side by side. It makes me wonder a little bit if they felt like they weren't giving each other enough room, and a little expression of anger.
Aggression potentially between a couple drivers already early in the race at Kentucky. Kyle Busch out front. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. And by Xfinity. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. Absolutely gorgeous sunset here in Sparta, Kentucky. Our aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Racing under the lights for the Xfinity Series on a Friday night. Out front, Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, 1 and 2. Then it's Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, the top 5. All 5 of those drivers have had success in the 2016 season. Kyle Busch out in front, and Austin Dillon has closed the gap now on Erik Jones. Marty.
Rick, you mentioned earlier that Austin Dillon looking the best among these top 3s, but there's a growing concern in the Austin Dillon camp. Remember, they were the team that took left side tires only on that last stop. There were several chunks out of that left front tire for Austin Dillon, the blisters on that tire. I asked Danny Stockman how concerned he is about that. He said, well, unlike all the other teams up and down pit road, our setup really, if I'm going to blister a tire, it's going to be the left front tire. So that's why he made the move to change those left side tires, but certainly some concern in the 2-car camp, Mike.
Marty, another tire story in the 7 camp, and it's not the one we've been talking about throughout the course of the night. Instead, the team just discovered as they put a tire on the wall, getting ready to put it on the car, the next pit stop, they found a bolt in the tire. This is a set of tires they scuffed yesterday during practice. They're trying to get another tire awarded to them from NASCAR. They have negotiated, haven't heard yet whether or not they'll be given that tire, but obviously that's not a tire they're going to be putting on the race car.
And if it's a tire they scuffed, then if you get a sticker tire, very difficult to put that in a set that has got 3 scuffs and 1 sticker.
It's frustrating to find that at this point in the race as well. You would hope that you see some tight action here with some lap cars. In the 7 of Justin Allgaier, the 22 of Keselowski, trying to look for some real estate on the front stretch. It's frustrating for a crew chief to find out at lap 72 that a tire you scuffed yesterday has an issue with it. You would have hoped that the tire specialist would have found that, gone through the tires. We talked all weekend long about the very big challenge ahead of these tire specialists. All these tires scuffed on the racetrack, keeping track of them, measuring them. That is an example of a detail that hopefully they'll be able to resolve, but it definitely would have been better to find yesterday.
And how about this racing right here? Everybody's trying to race around the 90 car, a lap car of Gannett. Everybody's having trouble getting around him. Ty Dillon, we saw him try to go around the outside and make a move. Did not work. Ended up getting backed up. So this is an example of how the lap cars are going to play a role in tonight's race because of the narrow groove.
Ty Dillon, the biggest mover. Ty is just 24 years old, out of Welcome, North Carolina. His brother, Austin Dillon, a former champion in the Xfinity Series as well as the Camping World Truck Series. Kelly.
Ty Dillon, obviously a big mover after starting from the rear of the field for adjustments ahead of the race. But when I talk was crew chief Nick Harrison just before the start. He said he was feeling really optimistic. He said, we have a lot of speed in this car. That's the closest we have been to JGR all year, and if we can get to them, we'll have something for him. And I said, well, can you get there? And he said, you're darn right we can.
Confidence, that's a good thing. 39 of Ryan Sieg came to pit road a little bit earlier than one would anticipate.
Yeah, Ryan and his team, they're a team that is right there on the cut line for making that chase. So, you know, pitting under green, getting a lap down, maybe 2 laps down, that could have a huge play in where they finish tonight and hurt their chances to make this chase.
Kyle Busch and the 18 team have talked on the radio multiple times about the wear of their tires. Right side tires potentially blistering after anywhere from 25 to 22 laps. Here's some more recent radio on that discussion.
Hi, KB. The right front definitely looked better that time. That was 22 green versus 25. No issues at all in the right front. The right rear still had some bubbles. One of the bubbles was open, but that was about it. It was very similar to what it did, maybe a touch worse than the first turn on the right rear.
That's great information from the crew chief to the driver about how the tires look, but we're starting to get to that point in that run, closing on lap 20 of this green flag run. The longest of the day has only been 26 laps. So I think it's also important not only to let them know how the tires look, but as you approach that threshold. All right, this is now the longest green flag run. 5 more laps, now we're at 30, now we're at 35. These veteran race car drivers, it's very important for them to understand how long into a fuel run they are.
One other thing that the crew chiefs and teams are going to have to look at is the limited number of tires that the Xfinity Series teams get. They changed right side tires at lap 25. They changed right side tires again just after lap 50. They only have 7 sets of tires. At that pace, they'd run out of right side tires before we got to the end of this race. Marty.
And Rick, let's check out the right rear from Ryan Sieg's car, and you can see a massive chunk out of that tire down to the cords for the right rear for Ryan Reed. And again, those only had 18 laps on them when they took this tire off. They did just change those on this last stop. And Steve, you mentioned the implications as well for this race team. Here they are. They're 11th in the chase standings right now in the Xfinity Series. Only 12 cars get in, so they're close to that cut line. They can afford an off-sequence stop like this.
No, Marty, and I'm pretty confident that when that tire came off the 39th car, it became very popular on pit road, because with all this tire conversation, all the tire specialists, the engineers will be going down, looking at that tire, trying to understand what it looks like and what compare it to the tires they're taking off their race car. Mike.
Well, the 17 has been approved to get an additional tire. What they're going to do, and Rick, you made this point, you don't want a sticker mixed with the scuff, so they're going to borrow a tire from one of their team cars. Cole Custer off the track right now, so they're going to take a tire from their allotment and put it in this set. So they've been approved, and they'll have 4 scuffs. Dave?
Guys, remember one of the first reports I had before the race started was how the one team would rely on Elliott Sadler's veteran experience. Right now, he is considering using a compromised setup to help save that right rear. He said that last change, we took some steering out of this car, some front grip, but I believe I'm going to need it in order to preserve that right rear.
A lot of teams talking about preserving tires. Thanks, Dave. Kyle Busch out in front still in Kentucky. NASCAR is on NBCSN next Sunday. Sprint Cup Series racing from New Hampshire. Race coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR America set off at 12 p.m. You know, Kyle Busch led over half of the 267 laps in the win last year. He was on a roll as he was headed towards his first championship in 2015. As we look at the Toyota driver update, Kyle Busch leading this one. He has already led 83 laps of the 86 that have been run. Erik Jones running second. Daniel Suarez also in the top 5. Kelly.
And Kyle Busch has had his rear view mirror full of teammate Erik Jones all night, but that's not the only thing that's caught his attention. Listen to what he spotted while racing at 180 miles per hour.
I think right dead center of 1 and 2, there's a water gun or something in the infield. They're squirting the racetrack, I think.
And now he's been asking if there are any safety officials around there to help address the issue. Meanwhile, his teammate, as I said, Erik Jones, has been running right behind him most of this race. They've been going to work on his race car right now. Erik's saying his entry's not bad, but on landing, it jumps out on him. him. And the third member of the JGR team is Daniel Suarez. They lost a bit of track position on that last round of pit stops. They had a slow stop as he got hung up with the right front tire. He was concerned it was something he did at pit lane, but no, it was just the crew. They're trying to recover from that now.
Daniel Suarez currently 5th. Kyle Busch, Erik Jones 1 and 2. I'm pretty sure on the radio Kyle Busch thinks that there's a person with a water gun spraying water at him as he goes through 1 and 2. Is it possible that a race fan could do something like that?
I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past a race fan, as Kyle is a little bit polarizing as far as a driver goes.
Oh, I'm impressed he could see it. I mean, I can promise you I couldn't have seen it.
Well, potentially he's seeing water on the windshield just in that area. Is that possible?
I think what he was saying is that someone was potentially spraying someone on the track.
Right.
I mean, that I don't know, but I have no idea.
That would be an interesting turn of events as Kyle Busch, and there's a group of people up there. And good battle for second. Here comes the 2. Austin Dillon trying to get by Erik Jones. Jones moving up the track just a little bit higher as Austin Dillon goes to the bottom, and he'll take the spot away.
Erik saw a lap car of the 97 in the outside line, knew there was no future on the outside, just went ahead and gave the spot up, fell back into 3rd, because if he hadn't have done that, then he would have probably lost the 3rd and gone back to 4th.
Let's listen into what Erik Jones had to say on the radio.
Every once in a while, it just gets kind of snappy loose. Like, well, not really loose, but it just loses grip every once in a while. It's really weird.
Yeah, and that weirdness is unpredictable. Right. That's the thing, you know, like every once in a while. So the car talks to you, you can, and it's always loose. You can manage that, but when you're driving along, everything's great. Now all of a sudden you're really loose quickly. That's hard to deal with.
And Rick, as we cross into lap 35 of this green flag run, I'm sure all the crew chiefs, all the engineers on pit road are going through their scanners, trying to listen to all the drivers to see if anyone's complaining about any more tire issues.
2 wins already for Erik Jones in 2016. His wins came at Bristol and at Dover. One of the important things about running well at Kentucky, especially for a driver like Erik Jones, is this is where the chase will start for the Xfinity Series this season. So you've got to be able to do well coming back to this racetrack.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that all summer, both in the Xfinity Series and the Sprint Cup Series, the tracks that we're going to run at later in the year. For the Sprint Cup Series, this is a one and done. They only make 1 stop at the Kentucky Speedway, but not this group. This group comes back, and not only do they come back, but like you mentioned, they come back at a pivotal point in their season.
Yeah, you mentioned the crew chiefs. They're all listening to the scanners, trying to pay attention to other people having trouble. We're sitting here watching these guys. You know, they're over 180, 185 mile an hour in the center of the corner, and I mean, you're having to drive it. You can't just quit. You got to keep going, and you're nervous. This is the point of the run where when you're having tire issues, blistering tires, you're really, really nervous that you're going to fail a tire, because if you do fail a tire, you're going to hit. There's no way you're not going to hit. So, you know, this is the part that everybody's wanting the caution to come out. You don't want to be the caution, but you're wanting that caution to come out.
Again, the fuel window around 60 laps. We have seen incredible racing already on the repaved and reconfigured Kentucky Speedway. It's time to go down to the Toyota Camry on-track car, guys.
Yeah, so we've heard a report of Ty Dillon having an issue with he's lost his air conditioning. He's got hot air blowing on his neck. You know, that's something that's irritating. But you don't want to lose your air conditioning, because, you know, it's cool, fresh air. It's filtered air as well. So, you know, you pick the air up in the car for that head cooler in the B-post area. So some teams will pick it up in the quarter window. Some teams will pick it up behind the window net, and it actually doesn't come out of the race car. So I don't know if he has something that's come loose, and now that's blowing air on his back, or the air conditioning unit itself has an exhaust. That exhaust somehow or another could be exhausting onto his back, but it's something that is irritating to a driver. It's not a lot of heat here tonight, so it's not a big deal, but it's irritating, and it takes your focus away from just driving the race car.
Yeah, Jeff, you're forced to run the larger NACA duct. You see this larger NACA duct right here. NASCAR has a rule when that NACA duct must remain open, no hoses, no anything, to force fresh air into the race car, but that doesn't do a whole lot to help cool the driver.
And for more on the 2, let's go to Marty Schneider.
Yeah, it's actually Austin Dillon that's having the problem, and the problem is the air conditioner is working fine. That's blowing into the top of his helmet, but that air is coming where he doesn't know where it's coming from. As you guys mentioned, probably the B post back there, Jeff, and it's blowing almost directly into his suit. He said that's the problem. He's got hot air coming, and he can't make it go away. So that's very annoying for a driver, and as you said, very distracting as well, although it's not taken away from Austin Dillon. He's got an awfully quick race car right now.
As hot as it can get in those cars, they've got to be very focused.
Yeah, you see right here Ryan Reed coming down the backstretch. It seems like a piece of debris or maybe a water bottle comes out of the 16 car. Right behind him, the 62 of Brendan Gaughan goes all the way down the track to avoid it.
Yep,
yeah,
right, water bottle.
It's disappointing that they allow these drivers to throw those water bottles out under green.
Mike. And Blake Cook is on pit road. Last time down pit road, Cook said they went a little bit too far on adjustments. They were way too tight, so they're going to go back on them. You can see the wrench going in the chassis. They're going to make that change. Also a 4-tire change on the 11 for Cook, trying to give him a little bit better balance than what he had in that last run, guys.
And Blake Cook might be starting the parade to make their way onto pit road. We'll see how many drivers start making their way on. It looks as though Daniel Suarez in the 19 also has come to pit road. Only 48 laps of green flag racing since the last caution came out. And we'll go back to Mike.
And J.J. Yaley told me before the race that he was going to go into a mode where he was tire conservation mode, if you will. Don't punish the tires. Be as smooth as he possibly can. Tire wear has been good on the 44 so far. They'll make a chassis adjustment, 4-tire change, Kelly.
For Daniel Suarez, he's been battling a very tight race car throughout this race. They haven't been able to loosen him up, and there was a vibration for him at the end. 4 Goodyear tires for Daniel Suarez, Dave.
Ryan Reed got 4 Goodyear tires as well, got it full of Sunoco fuel, and had a track bar adjustment for a car that was a tick-free. No adjustments last time. This time it went a little free, Marty.
Ryan Blaney said 3 and 4 is unbelievable. That's the part of the track everybody's been having problems with all weekend long. 1 and 2, that's where he's struggling. A wedge adjustment to make the car a little bit better. It was 4-tire change for him. His teammate Brad Keselowski's going to go 4 tires here. You see that wedge wrench in the left side. They're going to make a change there. He said he lost some speed center off. You see him stumble there, leaving the stall as well. Austin Dillon also in 4-tire change for him, Kelly.
Kyle Busch has really been happy with the balance of his race car throughout. He said it was just starting to slide as tires start. The end of that stint, they're going to give him 4 tires for the first time tonight. Meanwhile, for his teammate Erik Jones, his entry's not been too bad, but he said it's been jumping out on landing. 4 tires for Erik Jones.
Again, the rush taking place on pit road now. Fuel window, we expected to be around 60 laps. Most drivers are coming in after about 50 laps. Justin Allgaier as well coming on to pit road. Mike.
Justin Allgaier has not changed left side tires all evening long and was riding out a car that had lost complete grip on the left side. Expect a 4-tire change this time for the first time this evening for Allgaier. Kelly?
Ty Dillon says that he needs more right rear. He said it's a little bit antsy, so they made a chassis adjustment for Ty. So the car keeps stepping out on 4 tires for Ty Dillon in the 3.
The lead before the pit stop started was just under 0.2 of a second. Kyle Busch in front of Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch was on pit road at lap 107. We have completed now 109 laps. And the gap now between the two is 1.8 seconds separating Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon. So getting onto pit road a little bit faster. The work on pit road a little bit quicker, and getting off of pit road a little bit quicker than the two. The gap has increased. We go NASCAR nonstop.
Hey there, folks. It's me, the extra crispy Colonel. Now, I love original recipe, but in this sizzling summer heat, I'm feeling a little extra crispy. My extra crispy $20 fill-up is freshly double-breaded and fried to a luxurious mouth-watering bronze. Extra crispy isn't just a product, it's a lifestyle. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
What could be more rewarding than working on your car? Actually getting credit for it. With Autozone Rewards, spend $20 5 times and get a $20 reward. It's called The Zone, and we'll help get you there. Sign up in-store or online.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Here's how it feels to have America's fastest LTE network. Here's how it feels to get 50% off most national carrier rates, too. So imagine how it feels to switch to Sprint and buy an iPhone 6S and get another one free when you add a second line. Plus, try us out for 30 days. If you're not satisfied, we'll refund your money.
If palm trees could talk, I bet they would speak Spanish. Man, I wish I spoke Spanish.
This is the Ford F-150, the only pickup with a high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body. Of all the full-size half-ton pickups, it's got the most towing, the best payload, and the highest gas mileage, plus no body rust. And guess what? This is the safest F-150 ever built. The only pickup to pull the government's 5-star safety rating and earn an IIHS top safety pick. This is the F-150, and Ford F-Series is the undisputed truck leader for 39 straight years.
What are you doing?
Sarah, I love you.
No, my brother. Keep going.
Sarah, will you marry?
What do you want, Todd?
Keep it going!
If you sit on your phone, you butt dial people. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
I know we just met like 2 months ago.
Training camp, 16 hours of live coverage every day. And we wrap it all up with Training Camp Primetime.
This is where all the magic happens.
The season starts now.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series continues tomorrow at 7 Eastern on NBCSN.
Next Saturday on NBCSN, Xfinity Series Racing from New Hampshire. Coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. Names are made here. Welcome back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series Alsco 300. Currently on lap 117. 84 laps to go. One driver not going to get the finish that he was hoping for tonight. Justin Allgaier just went into the garage. Coming into this race, 5th in the point standings. So not the night that Justin Allgaier was looking for. See him in the garage area now.
Looks like they're working on the left side axle. That's kind of a odd failure. Maybe I would see that at a short track. You would expect with a lot of load on that axle. But remember, with so much Xfinity practice, that's rare for these guys. They have more laps on that car than a normal weekend. Perhaps they had some sort of wear issue just for total laps.
Well, we're coming right off pit stop, screen flat pit stop, so it's a good chance when they drop the jack, in the pits, the axle could have broken when he was leaving pit road.
Mike, what's going on with the team?
And guys, as Steve pointed out, they just removed the left axle, the left rear axle. I spoke with Jason Burdett. He said they broke a drive plate. So obviously this is not what Justin Allgaier wanted here tonight. Had been fighting for a top 10 finish, and it won't happen.
We mentioned long green flag runs. It's been the longest green flag run that we have had. And so the 18 once again talking about tire wear on the radio.
All right, just take care of it there. The tires obviously look the worst they've looked all day, but that was 50 green laps on tires. Both outside of right front and right rear. Both had a few blisters on them.
Look at the gap closed now by Austin Dillon. When they came off of pit road, it was 1.7 seconds that separated the top two. Now Austin Dillon all over Kyle Busch's back bumper.
Yeah, you heard Chris Gale take care of it. Well, it's very hard to take care of it when you have Austin Dillon pushing the issue.
Austin Dillon, the successes that he has been able to enjoy, especially on mile-and-a-half tracks. He has the best mile-and-a-half average finish of any driver, including Kyle Busch. 5.11 his average finish on mile-and-a-half.
And to get the idea of what kind of pace these leaders are setting, that 62 of Brendan Gaughan getting ready to go a lap down is in the 13th position, Rick.
A blistering pace being set by Kyle Busch, but he hopes that it's not blistering on the tires.
Yeah, there's a lot of concerned crew chiefs that would appreciate using a different term.
So Brendan Gaughan moves up the racetrack. That allows the 18 and 2 to both get by. Down low. And again, tires the big issue at Kentucky. We haven't seen any failures up to this point. Yesterday, though, interesting the way some teams were preparing their tires.
Yeah, the Goodyear recommended the scuff session. They take the tires, put them on the racetrack, get some heat in them, cool them as quick as possible. You see here, very concerned about the temperatures and some small blistering we've seen, and some large blistering on other tires.
These big blisters are after this long green flag run, green flag pit stop. So this is what all the teams are concerned about. And this isn't that unusual for a repave. It's very difficult on a repave to get the rubber right where the car, Goodyear could build a tire where it would never blister, but then the drivers could hardly drive the car because the tire would be so hard. But that excessive load, that excessive heat is what blisters the tires.
Let's hear from Goodyear. Greg Sticker is down with Marty.
And we've caught up with Greg Stucker. So, Greg, what are you seeing most with the tires, and what concerns you the most with the tires right now?
We've definitely seen some blistering up and down pit road to varying degrees. Some guys very minor on that last stop, which was a full run. Other guys much more severe. Everything's held together. Guys were starting to feel vibration, so they came at the right time. It's typical of a repave. It's new asphalt. It makes a lot of heat. That's why we come here with a harder compound to try to manage that heat. It's something that we do along with the teams. That's one reason we also recommend that they scuff tires ahead of time. That simply puts a couple cure cycles, heat cycles into the tires and helps them manage that heat. So that's what we'll work with them throughout the course of the rest of the race. Just do anything they can do to help manage that heat.
What can teams do right now that might help this issue, and have you made recommendations to teams already in this race?
Yeah, we're talking to them a little bit about air pressures, because one of the things we're seeing is the Xfinity car doesn't have as much camber adjustment in the rear, so we're seeing a lot of load transfer in that right rear, blistering on the outside. So we're talking about air pressure, where they are, and maybe there's some things they can do. Get the air pressure up and give that rear a little bit more stiffness.
Thanks for your time, Rick.
You bet.
Greg?
Kyle Busch has been talking the most on the radio as far as the tire wear, and Brendan gone. We just saw Brendan move over to the right so that the guys could get by on the inside, but he has been having a little issues on the track as he gets out of the groove and up into the light gray.
Did a good job of saving it, though. We've seen a lot of cars this week that did get up in the gray and end up getting into the wall. So we've seen the track get a little better, too, a little more forgiving. But Brendan knew when to get out of the throttle, quit trying to make a lap time, just settle the car down and then get going again.
Let's listen into the 62 radio.
I got a flat. Right side, Brendan, or can you tell? Sounds like a right rear, but I may have just gotten the gray. It feels okay.
Brings up the issue of how important it is for these drivers to be in touch with their tires and their race cars. Brendan obviously radioed after he had that issue almost spinning out, but then he realized he didn't have an issue. Some of the tires, like Bubba Wallace's right rear, definitely had a chunk out of them, and he was one lap away. He felt something, so he came to pit road. Those drivers have to communicate that.
Suarez with a big save coming off turn 4 in the middle of 3. He had to go around a lap car, and when he catches these lap cars, he's catching them at such a high rate, he gets way out of the groove. He is along for the ride right now. He does a great job. See him having to turn the wheel to the right, still chasing the race car, still in the gas, though, trying to keep the car moving forward. If he doesn't stay in the gas, it creates a bigger issue. So nice job of saving the car.
And saving the position. He was running 5th, never lost that spot. Still holding on to 5th. Darrell Wallace Jr. behind him. Kyle Busch still leading as we go NASCAR nonstop.
You guys be good. I'll see you later. Bye, Missy.
Ever wonder what your pets do when you leave home?
Oh, you cutie pie.
Aww. Just bust the move. Party's on! Know what your pets are up to with Xfinity Home. Xfinity, the future of awesome. See The Secret Life of Pets in theaters July 8th.
Thanks for this Oreo caramel shake, Kara.
Caramel for Kara. That makes sense.
And Janine for peanut butter.
I don't get it. Why?
She reminds me of my ex-girlfriend, Janine, who was nuts.
23 real ice cream shakes, all half price after 8 p.m. This is how you Sonic.
Just like pit crews help race cars win on the track, STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner can help your car win on the street. It's formulated to help remove power-robbing deposits from the entire fuel system. Go with a winner. Go with STP.
We've got road closures, interstate closures, major delays.
I wish I had a presidential escort.
Wish bold in the 2017 Camry. Toyota. Let's go places.
New watermelon from Limerita, the bold margarita.
Blue the dog here for propane. You know, I'm just a humble dog. I didn't attend the elite boarding kennels, but I do know that nothing beats the freedom of living out here. With propane, people can live where they want and just as cozy as they want. Whether it's a hot bath, no thank you, a warm bedroom, or a perfectly grilled steak. Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Proudly independent, proudly American, proudly propane.
$5 Sonic Boombox gives you a lot for $5.
Yeah, man, Abraham Lincoln would be very proud of this. It's an honest deal.
And they named one of the sides after his wife.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, Mary Tots Lincoln.
The $5 Sonic Boombox featuring a loaded cheddar dog, junior cheeseburger, side, and a drink. This is how you Sonic.
This is their time, their place, and their championship to win. The Open.
The champion golf of the year.
On Golf Channel and NBC.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. Kyle Busch has been out front for 129 of the 134 laps run this evening. He started up on pole, has been dominant, very strong. Tires have been the big issue for not only Kyle Busch, but also his teammate, Erik Jones. They had this to say on the radio just moments ago.
Probably not a good thing. I'll take it easy. You're all right, bud. P3 here. At some point, you got to race. So that was a full fuel stint. Obviously, the tires didn't look great, but we'll never go farther than that. We're good.
So, Rick, it's very impressive to think these drivers are out here running at north of 180 miles an hour, yet managing the situation with the tires. So we need to talk about the tires because we talk about blistering, yet we haven't seen any tire failures or any tires go down. So when you talk about a tire blister, it's really about the temperature in the tire. So if we take a look at a tire that's come off one of these race cars, you see the center of the tire, the patch of rubber that's missing. What happens is because the tire doesn't wear, it doesn't allow any heat out. It just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And actually, it's just the tread. The construction of the tire, you see that rough part in the center of the thing. That right there is basically the belts. That's what holds the tire together, holds the air in. So the air is not coming out of these tires, but when the tread pops off, it turns into a vibration. It turns into very, very, very variance of grip. The tire no longer has the grip the driver's looking for. In all tire failures, you never want tire failures, but this one here is probably the most measurable and the most manageable because the driver feels the vibration and can come to pit road. So we're not talking about tire failures. We're really just talking about a decreased performance in the tire. When the rubber pops off, there's nothing the driver can do but come to pit road. But to back up Greg Stucker, it's very difficult. When you come to these smooth, brand new pavement tracks, the tires don't wear. I know wear, it seems like a bad thing, but you have to get some rubber off the tire to let the heat out.
And that has been the big issue, getting the heat out of the tires. Let's find out, where is Rutledge Wood right now?
Rick, I'm down here on pit road, and I'm seeing tons of Cup crew chiefs and tire specialists that are obviously down here paying a lot of attention to the setups and the tires. But, Steve, I'm wondering for you, especially after a repave at a track like this, when you were a crew chief, how often were you coming down to the series the night before and really paying attention and watching the wear like that?
Well, Rutledge is very important, but what makes it difficult this weekend is that the Sprint Cup cars and the Xfinity cars are on two different right-side tires. So when we talk about the blistering that we're seeing in the Xfinity cars, this is a tire the Sprint Cup series tested that Goodyear realized wasn't probably the best suit for that series, so they made a change. So they didn't make a change here. So while there's always information to be gained, it's harder to gain that information when the variant or the variable of different tires comes into play.
And Goodyear has to look at the downforce that these cars create. The Cup cars with a lower downforce package on there, so they had to try to match the tires up with what the cars are doing.
And we've never seen a bigger variance. These Xfinity cars have a tremendous amount of downforce, reduced horsepower, especially with the low downforce package on the Sprint Cup cars. They have a ton of horsepower and no downforce. Surprisingly, all weekend long, they've run about the same speed. Everywhere we go, the Sprint Cup cars are much, much faster with the horsepower. But here in Kentucky, the downforce is overcoming, and the Xfinity cars were able to keep up total lap time with the Sprint Cup cars.
But, you know, at the end of the day, what all that means to the drivers, look, you have to understand the situation. You have to help manage it. And so the crew chiefs are not giving the drivers improper information, and we've seen that from time to time. In this situation, it's not about, you know, giving the driver the information you may think he wants to hear. He needs to know the truth. He needs to understand what he has to deal with, and then he can help manage it. Back the speed off a little bit. Control your pace a little bit. Don't take off of pit road in the first 10 laps. Be as fast as you can be. Build heat into the tires slowly. All those kind of things, the driver can help this situation. Remember, it's a 200-lap race. The goal is to win this race. Get to lap 200. Kyle Busch may can run a little quicker than he's showing right now, but it's in his best interest not to. Save that tire, help the tire, keep heat out of it.
Ryan Blaney's closing the gap now on Erik Jones. The battle for third is beginning to heat up as Kyle Busch still about a half a second in front of Austin Dillon for the lead. Marty, what's going on with the 12?
Gaining some ground is correct, Rick. You see him there in fourth, and he's closing on Erik Jones. He said the car's really good. In fact, at one point he said unbelievable in 3 and 4, and Greg Irwin joked on the radio, great. That's the part of the racetrack we worked on all weekend long. We didn't think about 1 and 2 because we were running wide open through there, but they've been really good through this part of the racetrack. That's where they seem to gain a lot of time. A lot of these teams can run about 25 more laps, Dave. They don't want to run 25 more laps to expect everybody to short pit once again.
Yeah, Marty, I'm hearing about 10 more laps, and Bubba Wallace and the rest will pit. He's having a good night. The car started out a little bit difficult to turn, but then it came around after their first pit stop. Remember, Wallace is good on points right now to the chase, about 60 above the cut line in 9th place, but he can't afford disaster on a tricky night like tonight.
Darrell Wallace Jr. needing a better finish than what he got at Daytona a week ago. Kyle Busch out front as we go NASCAR nonstop.
In this country, reputations are earned. From one generation to the next, we know we can take something great and make it better. There's no compromise for passion, innovation, and hard work. That's why, since 1938, Edelbrock has become the most respected name in performance. Edelbrock, a reputation forged in America.
Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, get up, get on up.
This is the Ford F-150, the only pickup with a high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body. Of all the full-size half-ton pickups, it's got the most towing, the best payload, and the highest gas mileage, plus no body rust. And guess what? This is the safest F-150 ever built. The only pickup to pull the government's 5-star safety rating and earn an IIHS top safety pick. This is the F-150, and Ford F-Series is the undisputed truck leader for 39 straight years.
This is real buttermilk, where real biscuits come from. This is made from scratch.
The made-from-scratch bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit with Applewood smoked bacon. Get 2 for just $3.50 at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
What are you doing?
Sarah, I love you.
Oh, my brother. Keep going.
Sarah, will you marry?
What do you want, Todd?
If you sit on your phone, you butt dial people. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
I know we just met like 2 months ago.
Your name's been in a lot of places. But there's only one place you really want to see it.
Welcome back to Kentucky Speedway. Kyle Busch has been dominant, but behind him, it's getting a little bit hairier. Erik Jones has been able to get by Austin Dillon. Dillon has actually dropped back 2 spots. Ryan Blaney has been able to get by Austin Dillon. While we were on NASCAR Nonstop, you were able to see Ryan Sieg get a little bit wild coming through 3 and 4, and that made it 4 wide as they came out of turn 4.
Yeah, Ryan had a problem. Everybody had to avoid him, but in creating that, when he had that problem, it created an opportunity for the 12 of Blaney, and he jumped on it and took advantage of it and got by the 2 of Dillon.
Bottom of 3, 1 outside, just a 0, just a 0. No runs coming. Clear.
Did you think we were going to see 4 wide at Kentucky after the repave?
Not successful.
A wild ride for Ryan Sieg. So now 1 pit stop is all they will need before they get to the checkered flag. And some of the cars already making their way onto pit road. Dave.
Darrell Wallace Jr. was running in the 6th position. Great top 10 night for him so far. He'll get a chassis adjustment. He said, I need a little more help on the exit of the corner. It'll be a Ford Goodyear tire stop for Bubba.
Now the decision's made. The 6th, and Seth Barber has said, I'm going to come early with 48 to go, get fresh Goodyear Eagles on my car, try to get out and make up some time. That's a top 5 car. Now the rest of these leaders have to decide how long they're willing to give the advantage to Darrell Wallace Jr. on fresh tires.
And how long you want to run this last set. That's the other thing. Like, what do you feel comfortable with? You know your drivers may have to step up the pace in this last run. Do you want to try to push this segment a little bit further and have your driver conserve, but then run harder that last segment for less laps? So all those things you're going to have to play into strategy here.
That's a great point, because when you look at the lead of Kyle Busch for under a second, right here, the longest green flag run is 96 laps. With 46 to go, you would assume they're fine, but I'm of the opinion, and Jeff, I think you agree, that Kyle Busch, he could have more than a 1-second lead. He's choosing not to. Veteran move behind the wheel of driving his car maybe 85-90%, conserving, trying to save those right side tires.
Managing the tires is what Kyle Busch is doing very well this evening. And right now, only 8 cars on the lead lap as more making their way to pit road. Mike.
Blake Koch was looking for a very solid run tonight. He had lost points in each of the last 3 races and found himself in a very precarious position as it relates to the chase in the Xfinity Series. A 4-tire change and a chassis adjustment on a car that had gotten progressively tight throughout the evening. Also a full load of Sunoco race fuel for Mark.
And he'll need it for the final stint of this race. 45, now 44 laps to go as Kyle Busch just crossed the start-finish line.
And I'm really surprised we haven't seen more leaders on pit road, Rick. Darrell Wallace Jr., his last lap was a full 1 second faster than our leader Kyle Busch with those fresh tires.
Darrell Wallace Jr. still scored a lap down because of making that green flag pit stop. Again, there are 8 cars on the lead lap. And then behind those 8, 6 are 1 lap down. We see Ross Chastain on pit road. Marty.
Ross Chastain coming down pit road. They have not been on the lead lap for quite a while now, but they're going to make a pit stop here. Had a nice run at Daytona last week, trying to hang as best they can here. It'll be a 4-tire change. All the other leaders are also going to come down pit road at this moment as well, including Austin Dillon. And we mentioned him losing positions. He lost all those spots because he said, I just burnt the right rear off trying to catch Kyle Busch, and I couldn't get around him. You see the chassis change, way loose for Austin Dillon. It's going to be 4 brand new Goodyear tires for him as well. Brad Keselowski also on pit road. He told his crew chief Brian Wilson, this is the best we've been all day long. You see a long stop there on the right rear. They had problems on the right front earlier today, and that's why they lost all that track position. And for that's just going to be right side tires only for Brad Keselowski, Kelly.
You see Erik Jones making his way down. He said 1 and 2 his car's pretty good, although it snaps loose on exit, and he said not bad in 3 and 4 as well. As you see, they go to work on his 20 car. Looks like it's going to be a 4-tire change for Erik Jones. Meanwhile, the 18 of Kyle Busch, who has been dominant tonight, so he needs his car to fire off a little bit better. And then he said his car starts to get a little loose in turns 1 and 2, about 25 laps into a run. 4 Goodyear tires for the 18.
And the 20 and 19 following him off of pit road, Mike.
Justin Marks on pit road now as well. He's had some trouble getting to the bottom of the racetrack. Feels like he's had to slow down too much. They're going to try to free him up a little bit and allow him to get back to the bottom of the racetrack. A 4-tire change for Marks.
Green flag pit stops continue to cycle through. 41 laps to go in this race from Kentucky. Ty Dillon being scored as the race leader. Kyle Busch second. Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Darrell Wallace Jr. Ty Dillon still needs to come to pit road. He was last on pit road on lap 108. 52 laps for Ty Dillon on this set of tires. Let's Darrell Wallace Jr. by. Darrell Wallace Jr. has been on pit road already, so he's going to get his lap back on the racetrack before Ty Dillon comes to pit road. Kelly.
And Nick Harrison, Ty Dillon's crew chief, said, look, I plan on stretching it to the end of our window to give you the freshest tires for the end, but if you feel a vibration in that right rear, you let me know and we'll bring you down to pit lane.
Strategy, guys, good play.
And I like that strategy because I feel if the caution comes out in this last stint here, everyone may not pit. They may be committed to this set of tires. Nick Harrison, a veteran who said, you know, I don't think we can win it on equal tires. We're going to have to do something to get an advantage. So, while is it a good play? I don't know. It might be their only play, their only chance to try to win the race.
Yeah, it's an aggressive move. I mean, the problem is he's giving up so much time right now that he's out here on old tires. Everybody else is on new tires. So people are like a second faster a lap, you know, just a short of a second faster lap. So he's giving up so much track position. So even though he has faster, fresher tires on a late run, late race caution, he potentially is giving up spots to do it.
Brad Keselowski trying to unlap himself. Ty Dillon still out on the racetrack on old tires.
Back at Kentucky Speedway, Ty Dillon has relinquished the lead coming down to make his green flag pit stop as they finally reached the end of their fuel window. It was 4 Goodyear tires, no adjustments for Ty Dillon in that 3 car.
Ty Dillon, the last car on the lead lap. Now he is running 9th, but as close as he is to the back of that lead lap, the 18 of Kyle Busch was closing the gap, and the caution has come out. After everyone had cycled through their green flag pit stops, caution comes out. That will reset the field. Kyle Busch and Erik Jones had a great battle going on. They're running 1 and 2. Ross Chastain in the 4.
So, Rick, I'll call it the gamble that Ty Dillon took is really going to pay off. Just left pit road with brand new tires. The leaders have basically 10 laps on their tires. And with 32 to go, we haven't seen tires be that big of a difference, but they've given themselves the best opportunity to win.
He'll close the gap, then he'll be in the 5th row when they restart. Here's the reason for the caution. The 4 of Ross Chastain way out of the groove and all the way up to the wall.
And then right behind him, the 33 car, he had trouble as well, and he actually went up and hit the wall. See the 33 drives in the corner. See the cars loose, see it shaking. Listen to the tires squealing. It's not good when you hear the tires squealing, I can tell you that.
And so up into the wall, 33 of Brandon Jones went. That was a 112 lap green flag run. That ties the record at Kentucky for the longest green flag run.
On a night that the competitors were concerned about long green flag runs.
So what are you doing here?
Well, I think the leaders are absolutely staying out, but Darrell Wallace Jr. in 6th. If I'm the crew chief of the 6, I pit. I have the oldest tires. There's only 4 cars behind me on the lead lap. I think I'd come to pit road. Maybe Ryan Blaney. I would try to drag some cars onto pit road with me.
Ryan Blaney looked like he was going to go, but did not. Darrell Wallace Jr., Brad Keselowski, Elliott Sadler have all chose to come to pit road. Dave?
And Wallace said, I'm about a 3 tight. They're going to stick the wrench in the window there and make a track bar adjustment for him. He'll take 2 right side tires. Elliott Sadler is on pit road as well. They're going to take advantage of this opportunity to take right side tires on the 1 and fuel, Marty. The 4 on the 1.
Dave, remember Brad Keselowski only took 2 tires on that stop under green a moment ago. So running 6 here, they take advantage of this. They're going to take 4 tires here. Why not? They're one of the last cars on the lead lap. Brad's been happy with how the chassis has been, so no changes to that, Rick.
Brad Keselowski will come off pit road. We will go NASCAR nonstop. Under 30 laps of racing to go.
Here's how it feels to have America's fastest LTE network. Here's how it feels to get 50% off most national carrier rates, too. Imagine how it feels to switch to Sprint and buy an iPhone 6S and get another one free when you add a second line. Plus, try us out for 30 days. If you're not satisfied, we'll refund your money.
This year, you and the family are making it to Galactic World without a hitch. Because when your check engine light came on, you went to AutoZone and checked it out for free. With our help, you can always fix your car with confidence. Hoods up, America.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Hey there, folks. It's me, the extra crispy Colonel. Now, I love original recipe, but in this sizzling summer heat, I'm feeling a little extra crispy. My extra crispy $20 fill-up is freshly double-breaded and fried to a luxurious mouth-watering bronze. Extra crispy isn't just a product, it's a lifestyle. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
If palm trees could talk, I bet they would speak Spanish. Man, I wish I spoke Spanish.
Toyota, let's go places.
Okay, we agree. We're different. We have no ball or goal to put it in. We pass, but we don't hand off or punt, and we'd never call a timeout. We don't win unless we finish, and we don't always finish. This is no game, because we don't play, we race.
NASCAR is on NBCSN next Sunday. Sprint Cup Series racing from New Hampshire. That race coverage beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern. Last year, Joe Gibbs Racing had 4 of the top 5 finishers. Right now, Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, top 3 here in the Xfinity Series. We just saw the 3 dropping back because of a pit road speeding penalty.
A huge penalty because of the people that pitted. He would have restarted 6th, but he was penalized for speeding, leaving the pit road under his green flag. Stopped the penalties to start at the tail end of the longest line. Huge penalty. Went from 6th to being the last car on the lead lap.
Well, now with only 9 cars on the lead lap, it really comes down to when the cars were last on pit road. And you see right here, Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez really had speed all night long. They were around lap 158, really all the way back to Austin Dillon. But look behind Austin Dillon, Darrell Wallace Jr., Brad Keselowski. Ty Dillon now at the rear of the field is a little out of a chance. But Darrell Wallace and Brad Keselowski, those 12-lap fresher tires may make a difference in this 28-lap run to the finish.
So if anybody has anything for Kyle Busch, he has led 159 of the 172 laps this evening. Lights are off on the pace truck, and now they're back on. They're going to go around one more time. Kyle Busch, Erik Jones making up row 1, Suarez and Blaney row 2.
And listen, you see the 3 car. You see the 3 car. The penalty is to start at the tail end of the longest line. But if all these cars behind you, if they let you go, if they motion you, look, I want to start behind you. Right. NASCAR allows you to start in front of those cars. If a car doesn't want to allow you to do that, they don't have to. But if you're 4 laps down, 3 laps down, 2 laps down, and you don't want to start in the pack, you are allowed to pull over and let a guy start in front of you. That's why you're not seeing him at the very end of the line.
And we are with you for the rest of the way. We will not miss a green flag lap from Kentucky. Lights are back off on the pace truck, meaning this time by they will get the green flag. There'll be 26 laps to go.
I'm really impressed with the situation that the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. and Seth Barber have put themselves in. Had a good run last week, had that issue coming to the green about keeping up the speed. Very disappointing, got caught up in the accident. Haven't had all the speed they wanted today, could run from the 5th to the 7th position, but got off strategy. When you're a crew chief and a driver, you have to continue to communicate, find a way to gain an advantage. That's what they've done. Even if it doesn't give them the win, maybe it'll give them a 3rd or a 2nd. We talk about the chase, we talk about points. that is a creative way to give themselves a better opportunity at the end of this race.
Darrell Wallace Jr. 9th in the point standings. They take the top 12 in the chase for the Xfinity Series. Pace truck now off of the racetrack and onto pit road. Kyle Busch, Erik Jones making up row 1. Kyle Busch on the inside, Erik Jones on the outside as they enter the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Aggressive move by Elliott Sadler in the 1. 3 wide also behind them. Side by side for the lead. Erik Jones strong on the outside as they go down the backstretch. 2 wide once again through the flatter turns 3 and 4. Erik Jones staying on the gas. Jones is going to pass him on the outside as the 07 spins. Caution comes out. Ray Black Jr. in the 07 goes around. As we saw in Countdown to Green, Ray Black Jr. with the Scuba Life sponsor on that car. Ray Black Jr., a 25-year-old out of Palm Coast, Florida.
Well, you just knew on these late race restarts that we've talked about it all day long, how hard it is for the second groove to get working. And then you just had to know that something was going to happen, because 2 wide, 3 wide just isn't going to work. Listen, Erik Jones did an incredible job of racing and trying to get that spot. He cleared Kyle Busch. That was great driving.
Yeah, you see the 07 just up in the gray. Nothing he could do at that point. Jeff just, does a good job of staying in the gas. But who that benefits just came through the picture. That 3, we talked about that penalty of Ty Dillon, but now he'll get to be up in front of those lap cars. Ray Black hard in the gas. That's impressive to know you're going towards the wall, stays in the gas. You see that left rear tire driving the car off the wall, definitely reducing the damage that could have happened.
Yeah, that saved that car. If he hadn't have done that, you see he gets in the wall right there, not heavy contact at all. If he had not have done that, probably would have done rear frame damage and spent a lot of money and a lot of time fixing that car for a team that has a lower budget.
Brendan Poole's going to get the free pass, so that will put 10 cars on the lead lap for the restart. Elliott Sadler, an impressive move on the restart. Went from the outside line all the way down below the apron.
Yeah, remember, we haven't seen the 1 in a little bit, but at the beginning of the race, he was up there between the 2 Joe Gibbs Toyotas, running second, third position. He's proved he has a pretty fast Chevrolet. Kelly?
Now you see Ty Dillon once again in pit lane. They're going to give him 4 sticker tires to finish out this race, just trying to switch up the strategy once again.
And if you notice, those are actual sticker tires. These have not gone through that heat cycle that Goodyear was talking about.
Great. Put stickers on it. Stickers seem to be faster this weekend. You're not worried right now with 24 to go about, blistering tires or anything. Put the fastest, best tires you have on it. If you had a set of stickers, that's the right thing to do.
Unfortunately for Erik Jones, well, I guess not unfortunately, he's still the leader, but what an impressive pass he put on Kyle Busch just as the caution was coming out. You see on the top of the racetrack in 3 and 4, we've seen so little grip there, but he gets to the gas, can commit to the gas is the biggest thing. Carry that momentum. You see right here, he drives in, backs the entry up a little bit. Jeff doesn't overdrive the second groove. I think that was the key. Beat the 18 back to the gas and clears him off from turn 4.
And Austin Dillon in the 2 car, he also made a 3 wide move into turn 3, and that's advanced him into 3rd place. The question I've got is, what do you pick now? Do you pick the inside on this restart, or do you pick the outside? That's a difficult question. I'm going to have to go the outside because it just worked.
Yeah, he made the outside. Made the outside work. Let's actually listen into the communications of the 20 team after that impressive pass.
Pretty fine, 2, 3, and 4. How's that replay racing working out for you, bud? Good work, real good work. Get your mind right, figure out what lane you want.
There you go. Right away, they're already talking. What lane do you want for the restart?
Well, hey, listen, he was excited because nobody thought you could do that, right? And even even the response was, hey, like the replay racing, right? So he didn't think he could do it. He ended up pulling it out. But that's why I think the decision is so hard. You just saw him pass on the outside, but it wasn't easy. He found a way to make it work. I think it's a difficult decision. I'd have to pick the outside and try to get a good run, get a good jump, use that starting position to my advantage, try to lead before the 18 of Kyle Busch and beat him to turn 1.
Kelly.
With crew chief on the 20, Chris Gabehart, what does Erik have on this finals restart to hold off the 18?
Well, I think we've had a really fast car the whole time. It's just on a repave here. You got to be really careful and get to the end.
Erik's done a tremendous job at doing that on his first repave race ever. So I think we got it. We get one more good restart. I think we can get the Reese's Toyota Camry in victory lane.
Thanks, Chris. Marty?
Let's chat with Danny Stockman, crew chief for Austin Dillon. All right, rate your chances to pull off this victory, Danny.
Well, I didn't quite hear what you said, but, you know, it's been a decent day. I think we've made some gains here. We ain't here to do nothing besides win this race. Pretty saddened by how bad we've been getting beat here lately by the Gibbs cars, and them guys do an excellent job, but we're gaining on them. We ain't going to give up until we get there. And we got a shot. We got 20-something laps to go here, and we're in position. Rick?
And we're hearing the 20 is being penalized for not maintaining a cautious pace, which is what bit Darrell Wallace Jr. at Daytona last week. Take a look at this.
You have to keep up with the pace car. I don't know if the 20 is saving fuel. I don't know if he shut the engine off. I don't know what's going on, but clearly he has some sort of an issue where he went slower than everybody else. And wisely, the competitors didn't slow down with him. They kept pace with the pace car. They didn't have to do that. They could have slowed down, but they didn't. They kept pace with the pace car. You have to keep reasonable pace. He wasn't able to do that, so they put him back into that spot, which will be third.
Big race implications for Erik Jones.
So here's on the in-car. Look, he had the car shut off trying to get fuel. He reaches up for some switches, gets it cranked up, but it didn't crank the initial time. That's all it took for him to lose his position.
Remember, we saw Marcus Ambrose at Watkins Glen a few years ago lose an opportunity to win a race in this same exact way.
So now it will be Austin Dillon on the inside, Kyle Busch on the outside of row number 1. Erik Jones will be very hungry on the inside of row 2. Daniel Suarez on his outside as they come to the restart zone. 21 laps to go from Kentucky. Green flag back in the air. Way down to the grass. They're racing for position. Here comes Ryan Blaney up the racetrack. Everyone moving up to avoid. Daniel Suarez with a great restart right behind the 18 of Kyle Busch. Austin Dillon trying to hang on to the third spot now as Elliott Sadler works his outside.
Erik Jones has to stay aggressive, but at the same time, he can't drive as if he's mad. He's got to stay cool. He's got to stay calm, try to methodically get by these guys.
Erik Jones fighting for the 5th spot now. Brad Keselowski on his outside. Before we saw Erik Jones make the pass on the outside, you'd say the preferred line was down at the bottom of the track. But right now, Brad Keselowski trying to make that high line work for 5th.
Yeah, just in front of that group is the 1 of Elliott Sadler. Remember, the 1 of Elliott Sadler and the 22 of Brad Keselowski, the 6 of Darrell Wallace Jr. all have fresher tires.
But isn't this how that goes? Something happens to you. You think you're going to be leading the race. You just made a great pass, and now you're in a side-by-side battle for 5th place. I mean, that's how racing goes. That's the highs and the lows. You've got to get your brain back in the right place. Don't try too hard. You still have 19 laps to go, and it's a good chance we're going to see some more cautions. This race is not over for Erik Jones.
NASCAR reviewed that restart once again and have deemed it a good restart. Erik Jones now a big gap between himself and 4th.
And this is the point of the race we've been waiting for, Rick. We've talked all night about conserving tire life, pit strategy, throw that all that out the window. 18 to go. It's purely the fastest car. Who can run the fastest lap, leaving nothing on the table?
You know, we talked about picking which lane on the restart. You see the 18 car. You know, he picked the lane. The 12 car, he went to the bottom. The 20 had to make a big block that slowed all the momentum down for both cars. 20's way up the racetrack. 22 had to lift to keep from being in a wreck. All of that just bunched everything up. Got the 20 of Jones out of his rhythm. Now he's got to find a way to get back in it.
And he still has 17 laps to go.
And remember, Michigan, Daniel Suarez's first Xfinity win. Who did he pass to go? His mentor, Kyle Busch. Kyle looks up in the mirror. He hasn't seen that 19 most of the night, and here he is. When the pay window's open, the 19 seems to find his way to the front.
3 drivers, Xfinity Series drivers, that have already won in 2016. Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, and Elliott Sadler. Those 3 drivers win, and you're into the chase. That mentality has them at the top of the points chart. as Kyle Busch trying to check out on Daniel Suarez now.
And nothing is a guarantee. We've seen the mistakes made on this track all weekend long, how on the edge these cars are. They're making it look simple, but we know a little too hard into turn 3, Jeff. You can get up near that gray and give up a ton of time.
And potentially get into the wall, and we have seen it numerous times this weekend.
Listen, these guys at this point in the race, not worried about saving tires anymore. There's 15 to go. They're going to run as hard as they can. Listen to this throttle on the 19 car. He has to lift a little bit in turns 3 and 4, going down the front straightaway. But this is how hard these guys drive to try to get this win. Again, no saving tires. Listen to the throttle in turn 1. I'd say that's all but wide open. I mean, that's running hard, giving everything you've got, running almost wide open at these speeds. Trust me, they're not saving tires at this time.
For more on Suarez, Kelly.
Well, you talk about that win at Michigan, his first ever. It did so much for Daniel. He said he was so sick and tired of hearing week after week about how he was so close and it was going to happen. And now he's finally been to victory lane. He said he's so much more relaxed now week to week. The whole team is more relaxed. And now they have the confidence that they know they can get to victory lane and they know they can pass Kyle Busch to do it. Well, Daniel has really struggled with the handling on this race car at one point, saying it was just bouncing up and down, but it looks like the handling has come to the 19 for the end of this race.
And the gap remains right at a half a second between race leader Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez. Again, at the top of the screen, you can see the miles per hour, 185 miles per hour. Kyle Busch entering the turn, and the gap stays the same.
And Rick, you saw the 19 streak by the 74 in the middle of turns 1 and 2 with 12 to go. I expect the leaders to catch a few more straggling lap cars. Normally not a big issue, but as narrow as the groove has been here at Kentucky, if you catch a lap car at the wrong place or the wrong time, it can cost the leader or Daniel a lot of time in second.
Open track in front of the top 2 right now. As you mentioned, quite a few laps to go, and they will be catching some of the slower cars. Kyle Busch, the winningest driver ever in the Xfinity Series, and currently the defending series champion in the Sprint Cup Series, trying to get another win. But Daniel Suarez, a regular in the Xfinity Series, tasting victory at Michigan earlier this year, wants to get another one.
You know, it's high, you know you're highly motivated. That is the all-time winnerest Xfinity driver right in front of you. We all know the success he's had. That's the guy you want to beat. I know he's your teammate, but if you want to win a race and it means something to you, you want to beat the very best, and he has an opportunity to do that right now. It's going to be tough. He's matching lap time with him. He's going to have to find a little bit of speed in order to catch him, but that's the biggest carrot in front of him that you can possibly have.
As you mentioned, they're coming up on some cars. Slower cars. It depends on timing. When they catch those cars, if it works out beneficial for Kyle Busch and is able to get by them through the turns, and not for Daniel Suarez, that counts against him. But Daniel Suarez could also gain some ground, like right now.
That's a perfect opportunity for Daniel Suarez. You heard the radio, work him in traffic. That's what they mean. Try to pick your moments to pass these lap cars more successfully than Kyle Busch.
Getting into turn number 1, Daniel Suarez able to get by the 15 a little bit quicker. The gap has closed now. Daniel Suarez faster that last lap.
And that's what you want from your spotter. There you go. He's giving him his times, telling him what he ran and versus what you ran, just to help motivate you, especially when you ran a little quicker. He can see him. He knows he ran a little bit quicker, but that's just a little extra motivation.
Daniel Suarez wants to race against the best. He wants to race on Sundays. Right now, he is racing against the best. When he got his win in Michigan, it was against the best. He was able to pass Kyle Busch late in the race for that win. Can he do it again at Kentucky? When they get back to the start-finish line, 6 laps of racing to go. 9 miles left in Kentucky in the Xfinity Series race. The gap that time, 0.6 of a second. Spotters, crew chiefs, talking to the drivers, keeping them calm, trying to get their lines perfect. Daniel Suarez can see the prize at the end of this race. And And he'll get a great opportunity now. The caution has come out. A restart as we close in on the final laps of this race. 74 of Mike Harmon out of Birmingport, Alabama, smoking. So Mike Harmon stays down on the apron. A little bit of fluid on the track. That means that the track workers will make their way out onto the track, see if there's any speedy dry that they need to put down on the track. And with just 5 laps to go, depending upon the cleanup, we could end up going into overtime. And that would be a shootout. The free pass goes to Brandon Jones. That will put 11 on the lead lap. 11 cars on the lead lap. Out in front, Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, Erik Jones after the mishap, trying to save fuel, shut the engine off, had to restart in the second row and then fell back. And actually, we listened into the radio, not happy with how that all transpired. Here's what he had to say.
That's just so ridiculous. Yeah, it is, but it's the rule, bud. That's the rule. I mean, that's the way it goes. Stay focused on a 3-start right here.
Hey, listen, I love that response. I mean, that is, instead of everybody piling on and saying, hey, we're victims, something bad happened to us, just saying, look, that's the rule. So, you know, tough break. Things happen. You know, that's the way you want the response. You want an honest, straightforward response that helps him get focused rather than making you feel like, well, NASCAR took something away from us. It's NASCAR's fault. No, it was a series of events. Unfortunately, it was bad luck. It happened at a terrible time, but it was the rule, and NASCAR followed the rule, and that response is what you need to hear. It's all about the facts. It's not about building a case that people are out to get us.
No, that is the goal, to move forward, but there was absolute frustration. You go on board right here with Erik Jones. When he knows he's losing a spot, he's pounding the steering wheel in frustration. He was just so excited. He had put the move on Kyle Busch to run the treacherous top line through turns 3 and 4 to pass his mentor, the person who got him in Joe Gibbs Racing for potentially the win, to give that opportunity away by having the car not restart under caution is such a huge penalty. But this is 2 weeks in a row. I think the teams are going to have to look at this. I know all the teams are trying to save fuel. I understand why they're doing it. But we're seeing NASCAR being a little more aggressive on that call, keeping everyone in line with the pace car.
Drivers have to stay up and maintain a cautious pace with the pace truck. And a few drivers taking advantage of this caution, making their way onto pit road. Seeing if the last few laps sprint will help them out with fresh tires. Dave?
Darrell Wallace Jr. is one of those. He was running 9th. Rick, he'll give that up for a little fresh rubber, a little extra grip, maybe a little extra incentive. Marty?
Brad Keselowski running 7th coming to pit road. Now keep this in mind, they pitted earlier with fresh tires, restarted 7th, only got to 7th, so they didn't make any progress. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and add some tape to the grill with 2 tires, Kelly.
And we saw the 3 car now making the call for just 2 tires just now on the fly. They're trying to stick with their game plan of getting fresh rubber here for the end of the race, but 2 tires only for the 3.
And we are going to be going overtime. This race was scheduled to go 200 laps. And now it will end up going at least 201 laps. And so the overtime rules, once the green flag is displayed, the field needs to get back to the overtime line under a green flag condition. The leader has to get by that line right there under green flag conditions for the overtime to be official, for the restart to be official. Once the leader has taken that line, has gone past that line under green flag conditions on the restart, the race will be official based upon the next flag that is displayed. If the caution comes out, the field will be frozen and they will end under caution. If it does not, they will race all the way back to the finish under green. We have to remember the Michigan race. We're the top 2 tonight. We're the top 2 that day. Daniel Suarez tracked down the 18, made the pass, and was able to get his first ever NASCAR win.
Yeah, you see the 19 get down, side draft the 18 a little bit, tried to carry the speed into the corner. The 18 couldn't get to his quarter panel to pull him back down. Suarez easily clears him coming to the checker.
Knows what it's like to celebrate. Daniel Suarez from Monterrey, Mexico, the 24-year-old celebrating that first win at Michigan.
So listen, now what he has to do, he has to beat one of the very best in the business at his own game, and that's a restart. Kyle Busch has picked the outside. Kyle Busch has the advantage. When he gets to the restart zone, he can go. As soon as he gets to that line, he can go. If Daniel Suarez waits for him to go, game over. Kyle is gone. Daniel has got to time this and has got to find a way to predict when the 18 goes and leave at the same time, if not just a little bit before the 18. It's very, very difficult to do. And I can promise you, Kyle's going to give you something different. He's not going to do the same thing he's done every night. But if Suarez is going to win this race, that's how he's going to have to do it.
And they bunch up 2 by 2 now. Daniel Suarez on the inside. Kyle Busch has chose the outside line for the restart. 2 laps to go. Green flag back in the air.
Great start by Daniel. Did what he needed to do.
We're in overtime, sponsored by Credit One. 3 wide for the lead as they go into turn 1. What a restart by Austin Dillon in the 2. He moves up to second, fighting for the lead as they go down the backstretch. They've reached the overtime line. It's official. Now the fight for the lead. On the bottom of the track, Austin Dillon can't hang on to the lead. Kyle Busch passes him on the outside. White flag coming out of Kentucky. One more time around. Daniel Suarez drops back and is fighting for third now. He gets by Erik Jones, gets that position. Jones back to fourth. Kyle Busch trying to check out now after an incredible restart by Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch, the winningest driver in Xfinity Series history, will win in Kentucky. "81 times Kyle Busch has won in the Xfinity Series. This weekend he's running all 3 series, the Camping World Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and tomorrow night he'll be in the Cup car. Already the 10th win for Toyota this year in the Xfinity Series. Rowdy above the door from Days of Thunder. Kyle Busch will get out and do a bow. And we might be able to see it if the smoke clears. The smoke does clear. The crowd responds. What you can't discount how good of a driver Kyle Busch is.
No, he's a great driver. And, you know, the thing about Kyle, too, I mean, he's won so many Xfinity races, but it's like he just won his first one. You know, he still appreciates what it takes to win, how hard it is to win. He does not take these wins for granted. You know, no one makes him run these races. He loves running these races, and, you know, he's a racer. He's just a plain hardcore racer.
And he's a racer that knows how to take every advantage. He did not win this on that restart. Didn't get the best restart in my mind. Kind of door-to-door with Suarez. And then we saw Austin Dillon jump out of line and get door-to-door with the 18, entering turn 3. But Kyle Busch, as he saw Erik Jones go around him a few laps ago on the outside of 3 and 4, he was in that same line, carried the momentum, cleared the 2 coming off turn 4.
If he doesn't have enough records in the Xfinity Series already, he set another one. 4 consecutive wins on mile-and-a-half tracks for Kyle Busch.
He's had a lot of practice at this.
Tire wear was an issue. he did it perfectly. Kyle Busch led 185 laps this evening as he won in overtime from Kentucky. We'll hear from him when we return. And Kyle Busch making the hard left turn to get to victory lane, and he knows it all too well. He has visited victory lane at virtually every track he has raced on, but this one, a little bit of a fight for the win here on the last restart.
Yeah, and I said Daniel Suarez had to get a great restart, and he did. Look, he's actually in front of the 18, but the 2 of Dillon got even a better start. So now he's 3 wide. And look at the 1 pushing the 18, getting into turn 1. So now it's a battle between the outside and the inside. Austin Dillon with a great restart gave himself a shot to win this race.
He did, and I don't think it's far from over right here because the 2 has what we thought was the preferred lane most of the night. But Kyle Busch in the 18, as we saw the 22, backs up the entry, doesn't overdrive the entry, beats the 2 to the throttle, pulls the air off the 2. Very impressive, and what we've seen is the most treacherous end of this Kentucky Speedway all weekend.
3 and 4. We saw 2 impressive passes for the lead. Let's go to Kelly.
Kyle Busch just taking a drink out of his bottle before he celebrates in victory lane. 4 straight wins on 1.5-mile tracks, but has not won here at Kentucky in an Xfinity Series car since 2004. And the fireworks go off behind him, as you said. As many times as he's been to victory lane, he celebrates it like it's his first. Kyle, I know for you, historically, repaved tracks and you have not always been the best of friends. What do you think of this one this time around?
I wish yesterday went a heck of a lot better than it did, but this is a great effort for this team, everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, the chassis shop, body shop, JGR engines, everything was really, really good about this race car ever since we unloaded. So, NOS Energy Drink Camry had really good speed, and Chris Gale and the guys do an awesome job. Each and every week, obviously, this 18 car is always the best, always the one to beat. And yeah, I think that's just a true testament to everyone at Toyota and TRD and this Xfinity Series program. So want to thank the fans as well, too, everyone that was here tonight, everyone on TV. This is a new repave, and it was probably not one of the best races from the visual. But, you know, a couple of odd things were definitely happening there at the end. You know, Jones got me on that restart, then he kind of got back. When his motor wouldn't refire, trying to restart it there. But in that last restart, man, I heard 3 wide for a second. I'm like, I don't know how we're all going to get through here, but I tried to give a little bit of room, then I heard clear, then I turned down. So, you know, it was enough exciting from my vantage point.
Yeah, certainly a dominating performance. So just how surprised were you to see Austin Dillon come in the 2 on that final restart?
Well, he kind of struggled a little bit the restart before that, I believe, maybe 2 restarts before that. But obviously you learn as a driver and you figure it out. So he got it going there right there at the end and just made a bold move, an aggressive move of getting down low like that and kind of forcing his way. I haven't really seen it, but that's what I imagine it looked like.
All right, Kyle Busch back in victory lane here at Kentucky for the first time since 2004 in the Xfinity Series, Rick.
It's been a while. You see in the background there, Crossley Brands, based in Louisville, will be presenting him that jukebox in the back. Another impressive trophy that Kyle Busch will have to find a place for in his house. He's got a few clocks from Martinsville, now a jukebox. There's a shot. Hey, there's Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine, a part of the Crossley brand. What an impressive run, not only by what we saw out of Kyle Busch, but another impressive run by Austin Dillon on 1.5-mile tracks. His average coming in, his average finish was 5.1. He's going to better that tonight with a second-place finish.
Yeah, I mean, just listen. Joe Gibbs Racing is the pinnacle of the Xfinity Series, been for several years. And you put Kyle Busch in that kind of equipment, and it's going to be very, very difficult to beat him. He's one of the best drivers in the world and driving the best cars. So, quite simply, they're going to outclass you, and he's going to outdrive you, and that's why you get these number of wins.
And there's always 2 sides to the story. The elation of Kyle Busch winning this one. Erik Jones, I'm sure, is going to feel like he lost this one. Let's hear from him.
With Erik Jones now, Erik, describe how you interpreted what was going on before that restart and how NASCAR ruled on you.
I don't know. I fell back 20 feet from the pace car, no different than if you're saving fuel, and they put me to 3rd place. So
I guess I gave it away, but, you know, it's unfortunate. Good race with Camry and not much to show for it.
Your car was strong tonight, Erik, and you did have a good race tonight. So what was the thought on the saving fuel? How much did you have to save?
I wasn't saving fuel. I was doing something else and just trying to get the best restart I could. And unfortunately, I hit the wrong button coming to get going again, and it put us too far back, apparently, for where NASCAR thought we should be coming to 1 to go. And we ended up being third on the restart, and it's just hard to make up a lot of ground here in traffic. So not what we wanted, and just didn't work out.
Tough way to take the end of his night.
Yeah, and he mentioned doing something different. Wasn't saving fuel, doing something different to try to get a better restart. What would he have been doing?
Well, he could have been turning fans on, turning fans off. You heard him say hit the wrong switch. So he said he was doing something to try to help the restart, and he admitted making a mistake. I understand his frustration. I mean, especially, I remember the first time that was called on me. It was at Pocono a long time ago. I was running second in a race, and I fell back, and they put me a spot back. I'm like, what is this? You know, that was a long time ago. It's very frustrating when that call is made against you, but it is the rule. And in that case, again, his competitors took advantage of it. They saw him slow down. Instead of just slowing down with him, they went around him. That's being smart competition.
We just saw Daniel Suarez come in and congratulate Kyle Busch. Moments ago, Mike Massaro was with him.
What a dramatic finish it was at the Kentucky Speedway. The Joe Gibbs racing cars really dicing it up, and involved there in that final restart, Daniel Suarez. Take me through those closing laps.
Well, it was a little crazy. I knew that the bottom was not a great place to be for all tires, at least. It was very easy for the guy on third to make through wide, and it's exactly what the two car did, and he did a good job doing that. But I tried to block in the racetrack, and he went to apron. I can go that far, and that's normal. That's aggressive racing. That's what we are here for. A good job for Kyle. He had a very, very fast car. He did a really good job, and he deserved the win. I feel like we had a very, very fast car as well. We missed it a little bit in the first half, and then we came back. But we just were a little bit too tight, maybe for contender to that win. But overall, a solid day.
Even though you were tight, you were right there at the end. Kyle dominated this race, but what was it like for you to have an opportunity there in the closing laps to potentially pull off the upset and spoil his night?
Honestly, when we had 4 tires, when we had other stuff with 4 tires, that was the best car out there. I say to my team, hey, let's do the same thing, a little bit better turn, and we're going to be around the point, right in the morning. We adjust the car, but we changed those right sides, and the car wasn't the same. But, you know, that's power racing. We are here to win races. We are locked in the chase already, and the whole 19 team, Joe Gibbs Racing, Aris, Toyota, everyone is doing an amazing job. Looking forward for next week in Loudon.
As you were chasing down Kyle, we documented your victory earlier this year and how it's built your confidence. Did you feel that confidence that you could beat Kyle once again?
Yeah, to be honest, all these guys and this car and all this team, it's just as strong as the 18 and the 20 car and the 20 team. So we just need to keep working, keep digging, and I know that there are more trophies in the future for us.
The track was such a story throughout the course of the weekend. You were out there. After all said and done, how would you evaluate it?
I love it. I really love it. I think it's fast, it's fun. I don't know if you guys filmed it, but I went sideways crazy in the 3 and 4 in one point. I don't even know how I went through that one. It was crazy. I got stuck with some slow car, and then I went sideways for half an hour, and then I went straight again. I'm really looking forward to see that on TV.
You can go home and watch a replay. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, man.
Daniel Suarez, third at the Kentucky Speedway.
We absolutely saw that sideways run by Daniel Suarez. As we look at the unofficial results, Kyle Busch, his 81st win in the Xfinity Series. Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Erik Jones, Darrell Wallace Jr. top 5 finish.
Yeah, Justin Marks does a nice job coming home in 12th. Ryan Preece, top 15 for the 01 car.
Blake Cook, Jeremy Clemens, all good runs.
A lot of cars caught a lap down or even more because of the pace Kyle Busch was setting. There was a 112 lap green flag run that put a lot of guys either out or way back in the pack. Look at the chase grid. Once again, when the chase starts, it will start right here at Kentucky later this fall. Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, Elliott Sadler with wins, and then points. Very, very important to make it into the top 12.
Hey, look at Ryan Sieg, 17 to the good. Blake Cook, 14 to the good. You know, that's still really close. Saw Ryan Sieg had trouble tonight. You know, these races are difficult to finish. It's going to be a tight battle all the way until 8 to go.
Even though Kyle Busch led 185 laps, great racing all the way around the track behind him. He celebrates, and post-race show coming up next. Great night of racing under the lights in Kentucky Speedway. Welcome to NASCAR America post-race show. Now we go to Krista, Kyle, and DJ.
Thank you, Rick. A great race indeed, a great finish. You had 11 lead changes among 6 different drivers tonight. Kyle Busch, the winner. We've documented that.
Yes.
But I really want to sort of go back into this, the fact Erik Jones. Anytime you come away with a top 5, especially at a new racetrack, probably be happy. Not the case with Erik Jones, considering what might have been.
No, I feel bad, and it wasn't even me. I mean, I feel so bad for it. It's mistakes that we've all made inside the car at some point in time, and I know he probably thinks that he wasn't that far back. The thing was, and Jeff Burton did a great job of pointing this out, is that the competitors, Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon, went ahead and passed him to keep up, and that made it look like even more probably than what it was. But it is the rule, and that's what you have to go by. Unfortunately, he had made a great move to get the lead.
Yeah, the competitors smelled blood in the water when they saw that. That's how simple it was. I think we saw his interview. He said, I fell back about 20 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a little bit farther than 20 feet. And I want to use a line that NASCAR has used for a number of years. There's no timeouts in this sport. No timeouts. You got to be on every lap, every second of every lap. When you come down pit road, it doesn't make any difference. He made a mistake, and he got called out. And I feel so terribly bad for him because he had made an incredible move on the Kyle Busch to get to the lead. But it was just a mistake, and he'll learn from it. Bet you everything in the world that never, ever happens to him again in his career, that he hits the wrong switch.
Well, we heard just a few moments before that he was all elated because of that move he made on Kyle Busch. Let's go ahead and take a look and show you what happened. Again, this is under caution, and the rule is you must maintain speed, caution speed, keep up with the pace car.
That's exactly right. And you can see right here is whenever he switched it off. So he's coasting right now. And this was by accident. And he almost lost 3 spots there. But you can see he gets it fired back up and makes his way back. But that is losing too much time.
Yeah, and let's go back to last week. They called the same penalty on Darrell Wallace, the exact same penalty. So NASCAR has been consistent, and if you don't maintain the speed you need to maintain, under their direction and under their guidance, I guess, they put you back, and that's what they did to Erik. And again, you got to feel bad for him.
So I guess they should keep his phone away from him so he doesn't tweet anything.
He better not tweet anything.
A lot more to talk about here in Kentucky. No surprise to see that guy, Kyle Busch, in victory lane. Welcome back to the Kentucky Speedway. The Xfinity Series race all wrapped up. Kyle Busch, once again, a winner. He has won in this series before. He's actually won in all 3 series at this track, and he's running all 3 series this weekend. He did not win the Truck Series race, but, oh, by the way, he owns the team that did on the pole tonight and in victory lane. But moments ago, Marty Snyder caught up with the guy who finished second.
What could have been for Austin Dillon tonight? Man, it looked like you had him on the restart. Walk me through the restart and the pass Kyle made off of 4.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I had a good restart. The 19 kind of slipped his tires at the start-finish line. I pulled left and just never lifted from that point on. And the only place I lifted is right past me. I came up off the gas a little bit in the center of 3 and 4 there. And in that situation, you can't do that. I feel like I gave one away right there. The Rheem Chevy was really good taking off all night. And to be side by side with him going into 3 on the inside, 8 tires are usually better than 4, and I didn't do it. So hopefully it comes back around to us, but it's hard to get those back. I got loose on that yellow line right there too, but man, close race. Just got to thank the good Lord for taking care of us and giving us a good finish.
Well, I heard you say you should have stayed flat-footed through 3 and 4. Could you have honestly done that?
Yeah, I probably would have, but we'd have been wrecked off of 4. He didn't lift either, so I don't know. What is it? It was close. Just we haven't had what they've had all year. They've been really fast, all 3 of them. I mean, I've been saying it. We won the modified pole today, the 3 super modifieds up front, but yeah, I'm proud of that finish to beat 2 Gibbs cars and be that close to 18. It's nice.
On that front, Austin, you guys bought a brand new car, new setup this weekend, new ideas. Do you feel like you've made a progress in the right direction?
Yeah, we have. We've made gains, and Danny Stockman never gives up. We were able to win 2 championships together, and the fight in him is the same fight I have, so it's nice working with him.
An encouraging weekend for the folks at RCR. Austin Dillon finishes second.
Absolutely, and now we have an opportunity to talk to the winner Kyle Busch joins us on headset from Victory Lane. And Kyle, first of all, congratulations. 81 wins in the Xfinity Series. Are the numbers starting to be realistic for you? I mean, you are dominant, almost 30 more than the next best in this series.
It's just they're just numbers. It's just like you know, no worries about being able to have 50 or 60 or 100 or 150. I don't know. They're just numbers, you know. So we just keep tallying them up and just keep going after the next race that we're slated for to try to go win that one, you know. So the NOS Energy Drink Camry here this weekend was awesome. Chris Gale and the guys did a great job for me, and we were able to take care of the tires well enough here tonight in order to make sure that we kept our track position there and stayed out front where it mattered most. And those restarts there at the end kind of got a little bit dicey, but our car was fast enough there to kind of drive away there at the end.
Kyle, you talked about the restarts being dicey. You know, in turn 1 got really dicey, but going into turn 3 on the outside of Dillon, did you think you could make the outside stick?
Well, Erik Jones did it to me earlier, you know, so I figured I might as well take the outside on the restart and try to be protective of the outside, you know, and just trust that guy on the inside of being smart and doing the right thing. And Austin did that, you know. We both got down in there flat-footed, and then he had to roll out. When he rolled out, I had to roll out, so I didn't get outside the gray there through 3 and 4. So I didn't run that corner wide open, but it was pretty close, you know, just being able to get the momentum off the top side and clear him out of turn 4 and then set sail from there for the checker flag.
Yeah, Kyle, you mentioned the tires, and we heard all race long a lot of communication between you and your crew chief about the tires and how to manage them. Just how close to 100% did you need to run through the middle of the race to maintain that lead over your teammate?
I don't know that I really had to run 100% there. I was just running hard enough in order to stay in front of him. You know, there were times where Austin Dillon, he ran me down from probably 3 seconds back, you know, and then once he got there, then I kind of picked up my pace a little bit. And I felt like I saved my tires on the front side of the run and making sure I could take care of him there, where Austin really pushed his, and we saw him fade really bad at the end of that run, I felt like. And Erik Jones was right there with me. He stayed with me, and I could kind of hold him off. It was going to be hard to pass. I would have to slip or get kind of boxed up with some lap traffic for Erik to get by me. But, you know, there at the end, the same thing was with the last 30 laps, whatever it was. I mean, I ran as hard as I could. I was giving it everything I had. That was all there was when Suarez was behind me, and we were trying to run to the checker flag there before that, you know, last yellow, second to last yellow.
Kyle, last night it was the Camping World Truck Series race. Tonight, the Xfinity race. What are you taking from these 2 races as you look forward to tomorrow night and the Cup Series race to try to get back to victory lane?
It's just about where the track's kind of widening out and what the track's kind of doing and what opportunities you can use in order to pass people and try to move around this racetrack a little bit. The tires are different and the vehicles are enough different that they're not even close in how they're driving. So it's going to be an interesting race tomorrow, that's for sure. You know, the cars, they fire off really fast on tires, and then they kind of slow down, and then they level off about you know, a second slower than what the fast lap time is on tires. So it's going to be a little bit of a game, I think, tomorrow as well, too, with taking care of tires and trying to make sure that you can preserve them just enough to be good for the long haul. I mean, we're going to have to go 35, 45, whatever it is, laps on tires.
Well, listen, we almost saw you go to a backup car today in practice. Take us back and go through that incident, because that was big.
Yeah, that was big. I still don't know really what happened right now, but I got through the center of 1 and 2. I wiggled just a little bit, but it was still under me, and I gassed it. I was wide open, and then I hit that bump, that transition off of turn 2, and it just kind of jumped sideways right there, and I had to catch it, and I was swatting flies, man. It was going really bad to the right, then it was going back to the left, and I was out of the gas and just trying to hope that it wouldn't hook and go back to the right and get in the wall like I've had been the last couple of weeks. I've been wrecking cars that way. So fortunately, somehow I kept it straight and caught my breath, got my heart rate back down, and was able to continue practice. So stay in the primary car. That's the most important thing.
Well, congratulations once again, and you continue to impress. Either it's winning or saving cars. Just an incredible talent, Kyle.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Look forward to tomorrow.
And when we come back, more from the Kentucky Speedway, and the post-race show will continue on. Kyle Busch once again winning. Four weeks from today, the best athletes from around the globe will join together in Rio de Janeiro. The 2016 Olympic Games are coming August 5th to the networks of NBC Universal. An eventful day for Ty Dillon in qualifying. Earlier today, coming out of turn number 4, car gets sideways into the wall, around he goes, and down onto pit road. They had to make some adjustments that put him at the back of the field when they started the race, and He made some quick work of quite a few guys. Actually got into the back of Ryan Blaney trying to get by as he was moving up toward the front and finished 7th tonight. Let's go to Mike Massaro with him.
A hard-fought top 10 finish for Ty Dillon on Friday night at the Kentucky Speedway, and we saw the drama in the closing laps. What was it like for you?
It was wild, you know, racing those guys on 3 or 4 wide on a track that's about 2 wide grooves. So it was a lot of fun. I just upset with myself putting us in a hole in qualifying, and just it's so hard to rebound, so hard to pass. So you know, my guys gave me a great Alsco Chevy. It was really fast. It's just track position meant everything. We never really gave ourselves the opportunity to get back in it, and started with me crashing in qualifying. But fought harder there at the end and tried to get what we could on some restarts, and got a little exciting. So it was a fun night, just not the night we wanted. Felt like we took a top 3 or 4 car and finished 7th. So we just got to improve and stop making the small mistakes.
You mentioned the crash in qualifying. How did it affect the car after the repairs were made?
The car was great. It was just as good as it was in practice. It's just the track position wasn't. So when you're fighting through those cars, and you got to be perfect, and then I had a speeding penalty, made it even worse. So you know, we fought hard. We got up through them decently. We just felt like we had a top 3 or 4 car and just didn't get the right finish.
What did you guys need to do to set up passes tonight?
You had to really be right on somebody's left rear to loosen them up, take the air off of them. I ran 201 laps wide open through 1 and 2, and barely lifting in 3 and 4. So there's not much room for air, and there's hardly any room to gain speed on somebody. Everybody's so close, so just makes it tough when you're so wide open around here in these cars to get track position.
Nice run tonight.
Thank you.
Ty Dillon, 7th.
Thanks, Mike. And Ty talked about mistakes. Well, Erik Jones also making a mistake, but making light of it. Darrell Wallace Jr. has already been on his phone, and he tweeted, "I wouldn't comment on what took place at the end of that race, at least not on Twitter." We're going to talk Sprint Cup Series when we come back to Kentucky. Stay with us. Kyle Busch continues to celebrate. Great night under the lights at the Kentucky Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We shift gears to the Sprint Cup Series, and a huge difference between the Xfinity Series and the way the Sprint Cup cars handle. Even though Kyle Busch was able to win tonight, that doesn't mean there will be success tomorrow night. The problem started yesterday for some Cup drivers, and right in the beginning it was the 2 of Brad Keselowski getting out of the groove and up into the wall.
This track all day in practice created one problem after another. Casey Kane, you see, he hits the wall. As soon as these drivers would make a little small mistake and get out of the groove, they would end up making contact.
Yeah, then you see 6-time champion Jimmy Johnson just high in turn 4. The car goes straight. Heavy contact would be forced to go to a backup car. Denny Hamlin, another victim of the slick racetrack, gets up, crosses the wake of Eric Almirola. The car just seems to jump to the right, also makes contact with the safer barrier.
Kurt Busch also issues hard contact with the right rear, and so a backup car coming out. Are we expecting wild racing like we saw tonight?
Well, I think the track is definitely widened out. It was an exciting Xfinity race, but that Sprint Cup cars, Jeff, drive totally different.
Low downforce, really low downforce, treacherous racetrack. Could be interesting.
And a different tire compound for the Sprint Cup Series. Coming up next on NBCSN, it's 18 Rising. A look back at Kyle Busch's championship season